give it to me, I'll give it to you. I know what you want, you know I got it, baby. If you give it to me, I'll give it to you. As long as you want, you know I got it.
Let's do this, boys. Round 2 of the podcasting couch. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the first series, the first episode of the podcasting couch. We got a bit of feedback. Seemed to be pretty decent.
Yeah, pretty good. We didn't get any negative feedback, so I can only assume we should do it again.
No one was speaking. So we're back again, and today we're focusing on one specific topic, which is...
I guess our car history.
Yeah,
cars are good.
So we got some comments because of the last podcast, Podcasting Couch. We asked you guys what you want to know about, and one of the main comments that we got and DMs that we got was that you guys wanted to know about our car history and how we got to where we are now. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I guess that's what we're going to speak about.
It's not that exciting.
Yes.
No.
Not amazing.
Wow, you really dumbed it down. Let's start. John, let's start.
There's stories
Yeah.
for everything.
Yeah.
So,
Join along.
Ann and I are brothers, so we learnt on some of the same cars. Actually, Ann's the oldest, so you started driving before us.
Oldest first.
Got the most grey hairs. I don't know. What did we start off with? I think the first car that was in our family that was a manual that we both maybe learned to drive on, or I learnt manual on, was an old Alfa Romeo 147 Turbo.
JTDM.
The
Turbo diesel.
Turbo diesel.
Real big heavy engine at the front. Lots of torque.
Heaps of torque.
Especially when you
would
put
do
that
mad one tyre
yeah.
fire in the rain.
Yeah.
We thought it was awesome at the time.
Because we could drive manual.
We could drive manual.
On our L's, on our P's.
And it was swanky European interior on the inside.
Yeah.
It was all plush and nice and
Really good plastics.
Really good plastics. Melted. Lots of if you had an Alfa in Australia, it melts in the outside. But no, it had heaps of power and it could not go around a corner.
No.
And it was fun. It was the first car that I think we actually fiddled around with and tried to make it a little bit faster.
Yeah, you bought
bought a chip online.
Wasn't it on eBay?
No, it wasn't on eBay.
eBay
I've still got it stored away somewhere at home.
For a car that you don't have.
It wasn't for a car that I don't have anymore. So if anyone wants it, I'll sell it. I'll auction it off for 50 cents. It was one of those piggyback chips that you put into the ECU. And I remember we all came back to our house. Not us actually. I think it was you, myself, one of my other mates and another mate. I think we were renovating our house, so the house wasn't there. So we snuck in and we put the chip on. And then you could turn the chip up or turn the chip down.
It had a dial.
It had a dial from 1 through to 8 or something. It was
different.
It was corresponded to the amount of soot.
You just
cranked
it.
It's the soot meter. Turn it up.
Put it on 8. If you put your foot down on 8, it was just black
rolling coal before it was a thing.
Yeah. So it was like a turbo diesel truck going down the.
Did it actually do anything?
Yeah, it actually made it heaps fast.
It actually did heat.
So it did something to the point where those cars, they actually came with an Alfa Romeo GTA clutch because the diesels have a lot of torque. Mm-hmm. They need more clamping power.
Yeah.
So clutch in them.
For those who don't know what an Alfa Romeo GTA is.
Alfa Romeo GTA is like the V6 version of that car.
It's a V6
They're
in a little
actually pretty
hatchback.
cool. I really like it.
It's like an understeer monster.
Understeer monster.
Actually,
I think they've got a diff, so they're okay.
It's their sports model. So there's a sports clutch in this other diesel car.
Yeah, so there was that sports clutch which was meant to be better, but once we put that chip in soon after, it started slipping.
Hold on.
I remember our dad saying,
did you tell your parents?
No, we didn't tell our parents, and we used to drive the car at the same time as well. They didn't notice any difference because if you weren't on boost, you didn't. There's no difference.
This car wasn't our car. It was our parents' car. It was a family car.
It was our parents' car that they bought for us to learn manual on, but then they would still drive it to work.
Yeah, and the clutch started slipping and started going on it, and Dad would go, this is Alphas. They were always break. Damn it.
Dad Alphas.
I remember once driving over the Gladesville Bridge, it went into a limp mode. And I remember because as we used to live over that area, and you always used to go over the Gladesville Bridge to come back to this side of sort of where the inner west is.
Yeah.
And as you go over the Gladesville Bridge, it's a 70 or 80 kilometre speed limit, whatever it was, so you always get a good run up the hill. Mm. And I remember that we had the chip on, and I think I was driving to my friend's house, and it went just into complete limp mode. So you give it one pull up the hill, and then it wouldn't go over 2,000 RPM. And the car was just dead, limping all the way around that area. Yeah. I remember I had to stop, turn the car off, left it off for 15 minutes, turn it back on, and miraculously it was sorted itself out and it was all good again.
Who would have thought, the on and off trick?
So that was the Alpha. That was the Alpha. That was where we
Alpha.
started our journey. And then from there, what did you have after that?
What did I
Was it
have?
German?
What was next?
Oh yeah, it was pretty German. Then after that, somehow we inherited a really cool E30 BMW.
It was like a 318 something.
Yeah.
It was
No,
a
it was
four,
an S.
Was
It was
it
a
an S?
318S, I think.
It was a 4-door. It was automatic.
It was actually really cool.
I used to,
And
It
looking,
was actually really cool. I like it. Was.
when I first got my P's, I used to drive that to school, and the people who weren't really into cars used to laugh at me because I'd start it and take it forever to start. And then it'll kick over eventually.
Euro things.
But
10
because
years later, nothing's changed. Cars still don't
All the
start.
cars do that.
but being on your red P's, you got a rear-wheel drive car when it rained, you
and
know.
it actually sounded really cool.
Because no, you know what? It wouldn't be the 318 because I'm pretty sure it was a straight six.
Oh,
It was a straight
it was
six.
straight
I
six.
mean, it was like
It was a
325.
325.
325 or something like
325i.
that.
I
Don't
know,
quote
it
us,
was
but
sluggish as, but
It
when
was
it rained, you would put it in the low gear, and you
Put
just.
down.
It's where you really learn car control.
Yeah.
Rear-wheel drive, skinny tires, you don't need much
Is that
power.
water?
It was
It was
auto.
auto.
That was-
Put it
if
in
that
low.
car was
Put it
manual,
in low.
Oh,
Forget it.
like that would have been the best.
it might still be alive today if it was manual.
So what
Yeah,
happened
it's
to it?
alright.
What was the story? So we lived at Glazefield. There was
Yeah.
the hills that went up like
That's
that,
right.
up like that, up. I think one day our old man was driving it and it went up, and he just left.
Just
it
never
there.
came
And
down.
stopped.
Never came down.
Went down backwards.
He put it in park. He caught a tow truck and it was gone.
And it was good, so he's like, oh, I got rid of the baby
He's like,
today.
yeah, I got rid of it. That was so underrated. Such a cool car. I can't believe we got
Yeah,
rid of it.
no.
Alright, so
You think?
we just cut there because a family member walked in.
Our audience walked in.
Wait, in the podcast, can you leave the audio?
We're gonna start again. So there was the Alpha and the Beamer, and then right about that time, you guys probably started getting your licenses. So what do you want?
Yeah, 3 years later.
Oh, we had a license at the exact same time.
Yeah, but Ant started the conversation with the Alpha because
Yeah.
he started with that.
Well, so we're gonna. You're gonna run through.
Oh, do we go all the way start to finish?
No,
in
no,
one?
just back and forth.
Yeah.
So when we had the Beamer, and we were having fun driving to school, and I was.
This is,
You had something that you were driving to school,
we're going down that road, are we?
aren't we?
Oh,
Yeah, we're talking about that beautiful white car. that
It's
you have.
past 7 years old. You can't go to jail for it anymore.
It's like a classic.
pretty
now.
true. Yeah, pretty
Do you have a
true.
bum bag too?
No, I don't. But no, Gianluca, thank you for bringing up the past.
Yeah.
So, well, if you go back a few years ago now, what was my first car?
Like 3 years ago.
What'd you learn on?
I learnt on a farm
Did you?
when I was probably about
So did I.
14.
manual phone.
I thought you were gonna say 4.
No, I was about 13 or 14 with my cousin, and they had like a
Your
paddock.
cousin.
Yeah.
Here we go. Cousin count.
Oh, should have brought it up, mate.
Cousin count.
So your cousin taught you manual?
My cousin taught me manual. It was a little Pulsar. It wasn't a Triple S. It was like a Pulsar Q.
Pulsar Q. That's
Pulsar
pretty
Q.
cool.
Manual. And I couldn't drive manual. And every time I used to shift gears, I would turn the wheel. And because like
What do you mean?
You still do.
I don't know.
You go to change and you go.
No, like I'll be driving straight, and then I go to change, but for some reason my hand will turn and I'd veer off to the side. And because we're going down the aisles of the oranges, I get really close to the orange trees, and it used to scare me out.
Is this true?
This is
a
the
true-
longest
yeah.
thing I've
This
ever
is
heard.
true. You can ask.
Going down the orange trees at the farm with my cousin. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So were you looking down at the gear shifter?
I think
And
that's
because
what
you
I
were
was
looking
doing.
down, you were
I
kind
was
of
turning. I was doing something that I shouldn't have been doing.
I feel ya.
I was 14.
Yeah.
For starters. And anyway, so that's how I learned how to drive manual.
But then your first car.
First car, was it the Holden, the Snail?
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
the
Yeah,
snail.
yeah,
The year
yeah.
before that.
I don't think I had to.
Nah,
before
the
that.
year was after. So
The
you
year was
started the
after that.
snail.
Yeah.
Yes.
What was
So-
the
it's
snail?
the snail.
I don't remember the
Oh,
snail.
we called it the snail
guys.
because the number plate was like SNL or something like that.
Yeah.
That was pretty
It was
And
like
it
a big
was-
snail.
Literally a big snail. It was a Holden
Something station
something
wagon.
station wagon, or
Oh,
white
beautiful.
station wagon,
No way.
which, as a young pea platter, you like to rev it, and I ended up blowing the engine on that
Mag
one.
Mag.
No, you
He was
didn't.
doing a bit of Mag Mag.
Yeah, no, well, yeah.
Tank till it
My
banged.
horse in the old town. Yeah, that one there.
So Elmo wasn't the first one.
No.
Okay.
Alright.
So I had that Holden, and then that blew up. Then I inherited one of my dad's old work utes, which was a Holden Rodeo,
The Mighty Redound.
which John and I used to have a lot of fun in.
So yeah, we do our old school tandems.
Tandem.
Wait, you were tandeming in the...
He was in the
I was in the
Oh,
E30.
no way.
He was
I was
in
in the
It
Rodeo.
wasn't real. We thought it
look.
was tandems. We were probably like 50 metres apart.
At least 50
And you
metres.
both did this.
Like a
We're like, we're on the way back from school. We go around the
A
roundabout.
roundabout and we'd be...
I'd be like, oh, he's going the whole way around the roundabout. Oh, I'll do the same
Oh, the
thing.
same thing, wee!
Try and drift it.
Yeah.
Good times.
I spun out a few times, but hey, that's all in the art of learning it.
Yeah.
And
You
then
like car control with those
Exactly.
underpowered rear-wheel drive cars.
super light
Now
rear end.
Oh, exactly. Now that you think back on it, I'm like, wow, we were pretty reckless, but
We weren't going fast.
we weren't going
It was
fast. We were
when
doing like
it was
5Ks.
it was when it was wet,
Yeah.
so you didn't have to go fast.
No, exactly. Wet bolt tires, a ute for starters, and yeah. And the
But we
bolt-
don't condone this kind of driving.
we
don't do it.
No,
No, you can do it on the track. Just not
100%. And-
Private roads, Mexico.
Learn from our mistakes.
Mexico.
Don't do
Mexico.
that.
And then I don't know what happened with that car exactly.
Your dad sold the business. Disappeared.
No, it
No.
had a similar fate as the
Yeah, similar fate, but I think it was a gearbox issue.
Yeah.
Was it manual?
Mickey car wrecker.
It was automatic.
So you're both drifting
And-
manual snails.
Yeah.
Like,
Auto
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 snails.
snails.
sales, yeah, yeah.
We were.
That's how you do it.
Living the dream.
And then I bought my first car. I
Which
actually
was?
bought my first car, which was a Corolla Sportivo.
Yeah, the
Steve-O.
Steve-O.
Corolla
Got that lift,
Sportivo.
bro.
And for some reason, I didn't like Hondas back then. I don't know what it was.
Oh, we spoke about this last time.
We spoke
None
about it
of us
last
really
time.
liked
None of us
Hondas
liked
then.
Honda except for Dave, but I bought a
Now it's the second
Sportivo
one.
because it was the opposite of a Honda. I don't know why I did it, but I just did.
What a bad.
You wanted something that revs high, and it's because you're
Hey, it
a
revved high.
it's
So,
reliable.
yeah.
It's Toyota.
It's reliable, and it had lift, which was pretty much VTEC for,
and
for Toyota.
oh, the engine's in a
VTEC
Lotus. It
for
must be
pussies.
amazing.
That was the sole reason why I bought it.
It is a good engine.
Oh,
Yeah,
great
it's
engine. Bad
pretty
gearbox,
powerful.
really
Yeah.
bad gearbox.
Not a BO10 CR.
But yeah, I had that car for like 6 months. It was good. Then I sold it. And then,
6 months.
yeah,
I thought you had that
was
for
a bit of a car
years.
flipper back
I
in the
remember you
day.
did like a 3-stage polish on it. No?
didn't do that. I literally.
That was probably on Tony's.
Your
That was
brother
an old
did it,
car.
Yeah, my brother did that.
So
Right.
Steve-O, after the Steve-O,
Steve-O, then I went to, and did I go to, I went to the R32?
probably the pinnacle of your car.
Yeah, this was
Yeah.
where I peaked, and then from then it was
Nose
just downhill.
So which
Um,
R32?
I bought a Mark IV R32.
So
Golf.
cool. Manual?
Manual.
That's the real R32, not a Nissan.
This is the
Mm.
exactly.
Yeah, that's
Hold
the-
on,
that's
hold
the-
on, hold on.
that's
The plates.
Hold on, we'll get
Anyway,
to the
we'll get
plates.
there.
So I bought the Mark IV R32 in I think it's called deep blue purple or pearl or something like that.
What a
The
car.
best colour, yeah.
Often
Best
a lady
colour.
too.
Manual?
Manual, and it was 1 of 200. I don't know which number I had. I can't remember, but it was 1 of 200 in Australia, so it was
That's a
rare.
car.
And look, by far a great driver's car, a really good sounding car compared to the Mark V. Not throwing any shade to those owners.
Stubs.
I'll tell you why in a
Is it
moment.
the same engine?
Same engine, but slightly different exhaust
Not as good.
configuration. Just not as
No,
cool.
the boxy one's cool. The boxy
Exactly, it's much rarer. And then I had that only for about a year or two. Then I sold that for some unknown reason.
Mm.
Um,
Didn't
when-
you get offered decent money?
Yeah.
Don't worry about the money.
Don't worry, the money aside,
Hey, you
I
thought
should
you-
have sold it.
You thought you were upgrading.
Yeah.
I thought I was upgrading.
So when you upgraded to the Mark
I downgraded to a Mark V.
Oh.
Yeah, definitely downgrade.
Definitely
Not as
downgraded.
cool.
And it was a DSG, which was a bad thing.
Were you on your P's at this time?
Yeah. I saw
So
my
you're
face.
a Mark V owner in your P's.
Mm.
That's rare. Oh, it's the worst.
That noise used to be so cool back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, once upon a time. That was a long time
And then
ago.
they're now they're
I'm pretty sure the
everywhere.
current P players think the exact same
This
thing.
was like when you bought it. It was
I had it
like
like 5 years ago.
you bought it like just after the owners before you were like
It was like second
50,
owner.
They were
That was
like
old men.
50-year-olds who
Exactly.
could afford them and they were businessmen and
Yeah.
that was their
Yeah.
daily.
Yeah, I don't even know
So
how
you were like the youngest person driving.
I don't know how I
Thought
went
you
to
were cool.
afford
How
that.
did
car.
you
Yeah,
afford that? That's
I,
what
I remember.
You were hustling.
I was
He
hungry.
sold like 3 motor scooters.
I was working full time while everyone else was at uni and working at like a cafe. I was a full time.
And you didn't save anything.
And I saved $0 out of that.
You put it all towards the car.
That car lasted literally a year, and then I sold that because I had the shit.
Didn't
with it.
something happen with that car with like water and engines?
No, let's backtrack. Considering John wanted to bring up that stuff. So, word of advice for any vag owners, be it Volkswagen, Audi Group, or
Oh, well,
anyone that owns a Euro
think
team.
about females.
Yeah, I was like,
Oh, if you own a
joking.
Volkswagen, you
Yeah.
don't hose your engine bay.
Really?
Yeah.
I think you're going to say don't hose your badge.
Don't hose your badge. No.
So what happened?
This was like when I owned the Mark IVs when I was getting into like detailing my cars, and then I don't know, for some reason I decided I'm gonna gurney the engine bay.
I thought it was general knowledge that you
No.
weren't meant to gurney your engine bay.
Water plus electricity.
Electricity
is
doesn't really
bad.
go.
Bad.
Bad.
Really bad.
But anyway, T, sorry.
Moving on. I gurneyed the engine bay.
Mhm.
I didn't let it dry, and then I ended up starting the car. I went for a drive, and I was driving across Iron Cove Bridge or something like that, and I could smell this burning smell. And then I was driving behind a Magna, and I'm like, for sure,
It's
it's
gotta
that
be the
car,
Magna.
definitely not me. I turned left, and I was driving, and then I pulled up at a stop sign, and I saw smoke coming out of the engine bay, and I thought, holy shit, this is happening. Popped the hood, and there was just smoke, and there was a fire on the engine. It was one of the coil packs that caught on fire,
Are you serious?
and I was like, holy crap, what do I do? I had nothing in the car, I had no water,
No extinguisher.
I had no extinguisher, the car
If
was
it's an
turned
electrical
off.
fire, you shouldn't put
It was an
water.
electrical fire, so I didn't even know what to do. I think I was about to take my shirt off, but I was fat, so I didn't. So I didn't.
Rather
And
than the car burn.
then I found like a rag or something. I was hitting it with a rag. I was trying to blow it out, but it kept reigniting. And then
Did
at
you
that
turn the
point,
ignition off?
the car was off. And at that point, the missus was in the car. She was panicking. And then some hero from across the road, there was a BP or service station
Takes off
like
your
a
shirt.
couple hundred meters away. He was running with a fire extinguisher and just doused my whole engine bay. And I was like, holy shit, my car's a write-off. But it wasn't. Like I literally just cleaned it.
Then you
Sold
sold
it.
I put it in a coil packet and I sold it.
Straight on car sales.
And that's the history of that Mark IV.
Yeah.
Wow, what a story.
And then that was it. Hey, the Mark IV was the pinnacle. I bought a Mark V. That was disappointment. Then I
Oh,
thought
wait, there was one other cool car.
Then there was one other cool car which Ant got me into.
Yeah.
What was that?
So let's switch back to Ant.
Yeah, let's switch back to Ant and his car.
Yeah.
And then we'll come
The
up.
first car you bought.
First couple of cars that we had were Euros, and then
Yeah.
the first car that I bought.
So
which I
those,
think
those
was-
two were family cars.
Those two were family cars, and then I decided to use my own hard-earned money, and I bought a little red, mad little F1 car, the Clio R27. That was a
What a
mad
car.
little car. What a
It is
car!
it was a
That
cool
was.
car.
I remember my good mate Esco he'd always be like, "Oh, it's just a French Corolla, or it's a, what's it called? It's like a,
No, that went hard.
it's like a French Type R," and it pretty much is. It
It
was
is.
like it was pretty much the same platform
Mhm.
as like a little Honda Civic. I would say underpowered. I think Honda Civics feel like they've got a little bit more power than
Very expensive
I
to
wonder how much
service.
power they actually did put it up.
them. I don't reckon they
Very
put that much. I don't think they put very very expensive to purchase and
Service.
to service, sorry, not purchase. Purchasing they weren't that expensive,
Yeah,
but I
alright.
think they're real cheap now.
Yeah.
But in terms of running costs, I don't think I'll go back down that path again.
But at the track, you tore
As a
up
track,
in
it
that
was
thing.
awesome.
Oh,
The best brakes
awesome.
I think in a factory car I've ever driven. They
I was
had
thinking
mad
that.
Brembos at the front. It had the same Brembos I think as the bigger brother, which is the turbocharged Megane or Megane,
Mhm,
however you
mhm.
want to say it. And the brakes on that car were the same, but my car was 200 kilos lighter or whatever it is, and it just used to stop like crazy. You used to put it on its nose. And at Wakefield, coupled with good tyres and
Mm.
whatnot, it used to brake so well. Couldn't get on the power out of corners that well because
It's
there
a
was no
momentum
diff.
car.
Mm.
Yeah.
What
But
did you
it's a
clock,
momentum car.
in that
What
car?
was your
anyway?
best
What's the
time?
best time?
I don't know, I think we did like a 1:13.
That's
Still,
pretty good.
that's
But that,
quick.
but that was like back in the day when didn't know really what we were
I
doing,
reckon
how
if
to
you had the
drive.
car again,
I reckon if I had the car again, I'd get
112,
well, yeah,
111.
like a 112.
Like 111.
Yeah, and then that's like on road tires and everything, and it wasn't like everything done by coilovers.
It was just.
Not much was I think eventually I had spring. Eventually at first I had springs, then I had coilovers,
Did you have coilovers?
then I
I thought you bought.
Bilsteins.
You
No,
bought
Bilsteins.
Stings.
You did.
They weren't adjustable though.
They weren't. They
That
were
was-
adjustable for height, not for like compression reground and all that.
reground,
So
yeah.
they're just the entry level Bilstein ones. It's hard to get all that aftermarket stuff for that car.
In
And
Australia.
that's what
Australia,
turned me
yeah,
off. Those sort of cars, like you go on YouTube and you look at videos of them on the Nürburgring, and they're just hammering. They're awesome, and they're these tiny little momentum cars. And on the Nürburgring, momentum is excellent. You just keep going, and they fly past all these other things. So they're a great little car. They've got great bucket seats on the inside. Probably one of my favourite cars, and lots of very very good memories having fun in that car, driving it.
Got a car.
What
No, it was a great car.
Me?
And then me? You bought one.
Oh yeah, so the Ant bought that Renault, and I'm pretty sure.
We probably had to drive that. And thought
I think the first U&A video at the U&A yard.
Or was it there?
I'm pretty sure it was there.
Oh, you guys were
I had
setting up
one.
for a track day.
He had
Yeah,
one.
you guys were getting ready.
Yeah,
for
that's
the track.
right.
That was the
Yeah.
same point. Yeah,
Setting up for a
Yeah.
track day, adjusting the
Someone had
rattling
someone had a
exhaust.
flat tyre, they were fixing their tyre and all that stuff.
Yeah, plugging a
Track
tyre.
day prep.
Track day.
So me.
Plugging a tyre.
Oh,
So I didn't own a good car for a while. I'm pretty sure. I had sold
the
the R32.
Steve-O?
I sold the R32, the Mark
You didn't
V.
own a good car for a while.
And then I think I took about a year or two off owning like a half decent car.
Yeah.
And then Ant had their Renault Clio R27 F1. You know what F1?
I think so.
Yeah,
Very
it's
long
like-
name. Very long name.
Very long name, yeah, exactly, but such a cool car. And then I was like, well, it's a very cool car. I didn't know what to get at the time. I was looking at Type R's, I was looking at everything, I just didn't know. And then Ant's like, why don't you look at this car, that
Which is up for
182.
sale.
What was the 182 something?
182, I think it was an F1 too.
F1 as well. Went out
But
to
the
that
reason
one.
why I told you to look at that car was because our mate that we knew like through other car
That's
stuff,
right.
Stuart Budd, the other
Yeah.
F1
Yeah.
driver,
Autofocus.
autofocus.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to buy a Porsche, go see Stuart at
Porsche Central Willoughby.
Porsche
Central
Willoughby. There you go.
Willoughby.
He does great combos on the GT3 RSs. Anyway,
Cheaper price.
cheap price, very good.
Anyway.
He had
He had
a mate. He had a mate that
It was
had
his
this
mate
car
that bought it off.
that was working at the
At the aquarium. I remember
And the
that.
aquarium,
He
yes.
was working at the aquarium.
That's right.
And he had just started his own business, and he wanted to get rid of this little car because he wanted to buy a van because he wanted to become a mobile service person.
Yeah, 'cause he
for
couldn't fit
people's
a
fish tanks.
Could have fitted an aquarium
That's
inside a
the story.
Clio.
And that's it.
And then we went to the aquarium. I looked at it and I was like, oh, it looks pretty good.
The car wasn't insured at the time as well, and he's
No.
like, you can take it for a drive, and it was pouring down, bucketing rain.
Pissing down rain, yeah.
He's
it
like,
was
you
too.
can take it for a drive around the block if you want, but like, it's not insured, so
Yeah.
if you crash it, it's completely your fault, and you have to pay for everything.
And I'm pretty sure they always say never buy a car in the rain.
Yeah.
But
So
that's
we
it.
went around the block.
yeah.
Next minute, Mickey's like going, blah, blah, blah,
Oh.
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
I'm
of course,
sitting
of
there in the
course.
seat next to him going, it's uninsured, it's wet, what are you doing?
This Clio though wasn't a normal Clio.
No.
All the autofocus boys and
It had a monster
everyone,
of an engine.
everyone who knew this
Yeah.
Remember,
Clio knew it was a
The-
freak of a Clio.
for some
the
reason-
Renault forum was OzRS back then. I
Yeah.
remember there was a day where they all dyno tuned their cars,
Mhm.
and I remember that Clio got like 118
At the
front
wheels.
wheel kilowatts,
Yeah.
and those things are like a ton. They weigh 1,000 kilos on the dot. That's it.
Yeah.
They're very light cars. So 118 kilowatts in that tiny little thing
Yeah.
wasn't bad.
I'm pretty sure like every other Clio 182 was only pulling out
They're
like,
putting like 90 kilowatts
Like,
or whatever.
95 to
maybe
100,
just
I think.
cracking 100.
Yeah.
But 118 was a lot. And it literally didn't have much. It had like a little air intake and it had like an exhaust.
It had
Solid engine
resonated,
mounts.
deleted, solid engine
They
mounts.
weren't even solid. They were welded. They were welded engine mounts.
The engine was welded to the chassis.
On the track, that car at Wakefield Park,
What a
hammered.
car.
Like
That
I
was a
remember,
dream.
I think it was actually quicker than my Clio.
I got a 130.
I think you got a
I got
130.
a 130.
Vic,
flat.
you would go in like cycles. You'd be like, I hate this car. It's the worst car to daily. It's the shittest thing ever. We've got
Track
we've got
day.
a track day coming up in 2 weeks. This is the best car of the whole world. It's so good. Oh, I hate this car. It's the worst car. Oh, track day. Yeah, it's the best car.
You know what? The car was good when you were driving it. It was bad when you were sitting
Sitting
at
in traffic.
lights
Yeah.
and it's just echoing in your ears. If you didn't have earmuffs inside the car,
Yeah, I've never felt a car
You
shake
literally went-
that
you went
way.
It,
brain
it
punch.
shakes your bones. That
it
car.
was like,
Yeah.
and the
Your
windows
teeth.
were shaking and everything was rattling because it was
If
plastic.
someone bought that, stripped it out, turned it into a full-on track car, that would have been a sick
Yeah,
little
well,
car. But
they're
for the
not track
road,
car.
it was too raw.
And I'm pretty sure I only had that for about a year as well.
That was really
Oh,
short.
You're quick. You're just
Yeah.
next car.
Always
And-
making moves.
And then yeah, that was it for me, wasn't it?
So-
Yeah,
Sunday would-
unfortunately, you flipped it.
Sunday-
But
yeah.
He flipped what?
He flipped it. Like he flipped
Leaned it on the
He
roof.
sold
No,
it. He didn't do a
okay.
short
No,
bar.
I was gonna say leaned it on the roof, and then he sold it to another pink plater.
Yeah.
Car sales next week.
All I remember from that car was push starting it every time you wanted to go on the track.
Ah,
Remember that day?
remember that? The starter motor was gone.
Yeah.
So yeah, like a team of
Dedication.
mechanics pushing him everywhere.
Every time we go
Everywhere.
out on the track.
I
Alright,
want to
so
go back on. I want to go back on.
let's just paint a picture for everyone because obviously you guys won't know. So there was a track day we were going to, and it was literally the day of the track day, and my starter motor failed, and I wasn't gonna stop racing because who would do that? So I called in my mechanics, these gentlemen,
Mechanics.
and you guys literally push started me anytime I wanted to
Every
leave,
single session.
go out on a session, get home. It was a push start to get me home.
What mates?
Good thing you didn't install on the way home.
I drove it home.
No, did you drive it as well?
I think I drove
You drove it?
majority of the leg and you took it out
So this guy
What did you
drives.
drive home?
I was driving Omo in the last
Yeah.
one.
I was going to say this guy. He drives at the track where the car's perfect, and then gets everyone else to drive on the road and sit in traffic.
There was once he gave it to me to take it out on the track and I stalled it.
Oh,
Like, not on the track, just before.
Yeah.
Oh,
I stalled it and
yeah.
I'm like, Mick, give me a push. And there's a photo of Mick actually.
Is there?
pushing it.
Oh, okay.
Someone
well,
captured it. You
I'll
actually
find
pushing
it.
it, but it was fucking hilarious.
Signed your cars?
That was that car. It's time to go on, please.
Oh, jeez, where do we begin?
You had Civics before.
You had a Civic before.
Yes.
That's what you
Yes.
gotta start with.
Yeah. Even before
And it was red.
that. No, it was
red?
white. It was white.
Oh, I
Wow.
know.
There's a white.
Championship white, yeah.
Oh yeah. AK9.
Yeah. With cigarette ash grey on the inside. That car reeked. My first memory of driving manual was my mum's car, actually. It was a Mini Cooper S.
That's so cool.
So, yeah, my first experience with manual was a supercharged car with a really heavy clutch.
Did you guys
Yeah,
have a
no,
Mini
no.
Cooper S like a supercharged one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You got rid of it.
The
I
first
saw
it. Yeah.
one.
They're awesome.
They were the early ones, eh? There's two.
Yeah, one of
The real early ones were cool.
the modern Italian job ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We all had such Euro cars initially.
Yeah, still do.
Oh yeah.
You're a boy.
Elaborate, please.
You're a boy. But yeah, my personal car history is like the complete opposite of yours. It was just like a never-ending series of shit. and
And it got good right at the end.
It's starting to get a bit better now. I owned a 1980s era Supra for about 12 hours.
You did?
Yep.
None of
Your
us
dad
even saw it.
flipped
It was that quick.
No, none of you guys saw it.
No, we saw photos of it like the
We
weeks
saw
leading up
photos.
to it.
It was
Where did you get this from?
a friend of Dad's who had this car just sitting there, and he's like, "Oh mate, thinking of getting rid of it. You know, I know your boy's learning. Does he want to, you know?"
Does he want a Supra?
Yeah, a fun little car to learn on. Dad's like, "Oh, what do you think of this Supra? Here, I got some photos, and it was clean. It sat a bit low. It was like a nice grey colour." I was like, "Yeah, this is mad." It had the whole 80s interior. I felt like I was in a spaceship.
Oh, don't give me this.
That meme?
Even though I paid $0 for it, never agreed to get a car sight unseen because photos lie and they'll break your heart. It got trailered to my house because something was wrong with it, but it was an easy fix. I see it the next day and it's just like full of rust, covered in cobwebs. It looked miserable.
So
it was
the photos were
disgusting.
from the 80s.
Yeah, the photos.
They actually were, weren't they?
I think he
Oh, from
took
the car brochure.
I think he took the photos when he got it. But yeah, look, made money on it. Scrapped it for like $200, so that was a win.
Scrapped
It was a $200 profit.
Yeah, exactly.
Your dad would have been happy.
Yeah, killing it. After that, the first car I actually owned was a little, oh god, clear coat, faded blue Holden Barina, I think.
Yes.
Wow.
I remember that.
Now we're going back.
Yeah.
That's factory, the clear coat faded, isn't it?
It is
Yeah.
the Holden thing.
It is
Holden
like,
thing.
yeah, like how Camrys have the dent in the rear quarter.
Yeah.
And Taragos have the
Taragos,
whistle.
They have the
Yes.
whistle.
Oh, yeah, that whistle.
That's right, they do.
Barinas or just any Holdens of like the late 90s, early 2000s have that paint fade as a feature from factory.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I had that for a while as I was going through the L's P's system. Served me well. Overheated once, but
Once.
no, actually legit just once.
not bad.
Why? What happened there?
So I think one of the hoses in the radiator blew or something.
Okay.
Just nothing major.
Nothing big.
Touch wood, knock on wood. Every car I've owned, haven't had an issue with really.
Really?
Yes, really.
Okay.
Scrub it
The
up.
lies.
That's new to me.
New to me, didn't know.
Yeah.
I thought you owned a Euro.
Hey,
You own it. You own it. S3, right? You own it.
wait. Something just occurred to me.
What?
You've got a relationship with the tow truck.
I do.
The first car you ever had was towed to you.
Yep.
Like 3 weeks ago, your car got towed away from you.
Yep.
And, like,
Wait,
I like the
I need
tow
to just butt in here because
Yes.
you're missing out on that amazing BMW you had.
Oh, I'm not up to that yet.
Oh,
He's
okay.
up to that.
Oh, I thought you were
You've got to go in
finished.
chronological
Okay.
I'm
order.
not up to that
I'm
yet.
fully
Oh,
aware of
see,
that one.
I
I'm waiting for
mean,
that one.
I wouldn't even claim that as my own. That thing was an issue on the wheels.
Alright, so the
Yeah.
Marina.
So the Brina lasted longer than my relationship with my ex-girlfriend did, so that was good.
Was that short or long?
Then, geez, what did I have after that? I think it was the Civic.
It was a Civic.
So, it came time for my mum to sell her Mini Cooper S, and the guy showed up to look at the car in this white EK Civic hatch, and I was in need of a car. Dad was looking at it. I was like, you know, if he's going to drive away with the
Sweet in the deal.
with the Mini Cooper,
Mhm.
what's he going to do with this Civic? It's like, maybe we can negotiate, you know.
What's this on something?
So for a bit of a reduced fee, the guy decided to take the Mini Cooper and leave the
Civic.
Civic. I probably should have sat in it before agreeing to that.
Why? Is there a reason?
I honestly think the guy's dead. Yeah.
Just quickly, was that Swaps Cashy's way by any chance?
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Swaps Cashy's way, yeah. Nah, there were more packets of cigarettes in that car than there are at your local 7-Eleven. It was just turn the aircon on and it was more ash than smoke. I never got rid of it. Every time I turned the aircon on, there was just more ash would come out of this car.
What'd you call the car?
Oh,
Did it have a name?
no, I wasn't that emotionally involved.
The
in
one
that.
thing I do remember that had a spider, like a spider
Yeah, a real,
shift knob.
real hectic,
Oh, man.
bright red
Oh, disgusting.
with like a lacquered over and a spider.
Inside it?
Yeah, inside it, a redback spider.
Yeah.
Don't get that anymore these days.
No, you
No,
can't.
you don't.
That's quality.
You don't. It's just it's a lost art.
Get Eiffel Towers
did have-
instead.
It had wheels as well. Really, really just like shitty wheels. They weren't hubbies. There was some
Like
silver.
17-inch chromes.
Advantes.
They were
Yeah.
chromies.
Advantes.
Yeah, chromies.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Advantes?
Did nothing to that car. Just it was my A to B car.
I can't picture it.
Well, that's because
I don't
we
remember.
didn't know what Civics were and the potential.
Yeah, like if we knew
Yeah.
we had an EK back in the
My whole
Wow.
mentality back then was save your money. Don't waste it on a car you're not going to keep, especially one that will give you emphysema. Just
from the aircon.
yeah.
You know, I just thought of a name. You should call it Ashley.
Alright, after Civic.
After the Civic, I sold that quite quickly actually because, yeah, my grandfather got a bit old and they took his license away from him. I'm not going to question the RMS on that. But in him no longer being able to drive, I was actually given a 1996 Mazda 323 Estina Shades Edition.
I remember
Mint.
that car. I remember
Mint.
that car.
Legit.
Shades edition.
Shades Edition.
What's
Is
Shades?
that like,
then?
is that like a specific?
Oh, it's like 50 Shades of Red.
I don't know. Yeah, 50
Shades of Red.
50 Shades of Red because
Because why?
I love
Mate, I remember you went away to Europe or wherever you went,
yeah.
and your dad thought, you know what, Alessandro's away, I'm going to detail his car, do
no.
something nice for him. So I heard this was happening, and I thought, you know, I'll come around on the weekend to see if he needs any help.
Yep.
I show up, and your daddy's just covered in red. He's gone straight through the clear coat.
What was he using? Fucking orbital sander with like 100 grit sandpaper.
100 grit sandpaper.
Just everywhere red. I'm like, how's what happened to you?
Did it turn pink?
I won one or two panels. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's
It
like a
did.
murder scene.
It did have a
I
few.
thought I was watching American Psycho.
It did have a few dents on the exterior, as you would expect for a car that a 90-something-year-old was driving. Interior, brand new.
Oh, it was spotless.
Spotless.
How many Ks did it have? It was like nothing, eh?
86
It's bare.
something thousand Ks. It was just.
Yeah. And the Rosa Maria beads.
Yeah,
Again?
yeah. Had the beads. Had the little red chili in one of the compartments there. Still had the original freaking atlas that you used to get.
Oh, yes. The world map.
The map of Sydney that was bigger than a Bible.
Oh, yeah, I know.
It was
Backstreet.
just yeah.
Laugh at all you want, my dad still uses it.
The roads have changed so
David,
much.
page 272.
Looking at a book
And
from
then that one
1995.
page joins to the next page. Is like joins on page 274.
Okay, here we go.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, that car served me well.
Then what did you have?
Then I thought, you know what? I better actually buy a car that I like, that I want to drive.
You didn't like the Civic?
You know, started hanging out with you blokes a lot more.
That's not
Yeah, but like,
Did you have a girlfriend at that stage?
nah, mate, only the one. I think it was that point where we all kind of were getting into cars a bit more seriously.
I mean, when this was almost formed, pretty much formed.
Yeah, this had been formed before I got
Correct.
my current car, which, as you would know from the videos, is an Audi S3. And yeah, it's the first car I've actually worked on.
Yeah.
Added some bits and bobs. It is sponsored, white line, grip activated.
Jeez.
Grip activated. Yeah, actually, go on. Yeah. Let's
Just-
what have you
yeah,
done?
alright,
Scrub
I feel like
Hashtag
he's
influencer.
Wait.
He's missed
What
something
happened to
here,
the
yeah.
best car you
Oh,
ever
his track car.
Which car? The Beamer.
The baby.
Oh, that-
Oh no! Come on, man.
We're like skipping
I
that.
thought we'd skip it.
that.
No, I thought we'd skip
You're
it.
like, oh, now
Nah.
we've gone on
Sanji's
to
been
our
the most
current
detailed
car.
one so far.
He's
This is the most
detailed.
important car.
I'm giving it an in-depth history. Okay,
Backtrack
so
from the S3, please.
for about 6 months, it was actually, not to sound too ethnic here, but it was my cousin's grandparents' car. Ding, ding, ding. Another car that was bought new from factory, so I was the second owner of another car. It was a E46 325, 4-door, automatic.
Cream interior.
Yeah,
Was it
Beige and
What was the
beige.
colour on the
yeah.
outside?
It
It's like a
was
navy?
It was a navy blue, not
Yeah.
quite Estoril blue, but it was blue.
But it is blue.
Interior was like beige and
Wood grain,
yeah.
which is
Yeah,
rare.
beige,
That's
it was
rare.
beige. It was beige and wood grain.
No, I thought it was beige and warning lights.
Yeah, it was. It was for a
Warning
bit.
lights.
It was for a bit. Don't drive a Euro in summer. Just don't.
Yeah.
Don't do it. It's not worth it. You'll
Can you elaborate on that one?
You'll be going with your boys to go get a frozen oak at your local servo, and you won't make it back. You just won't.
Just the frozen oak slide. Do you recall going to Mimo's one
Yeah,
night?
no,
No, it was-
No, sorry.
Metro
Metro
one.
one.
Metro one.
I recall going to
During
I
Mimo's.
think it was the day I got the car.
Was it?
It was the day I got
It
the
was
car.
the-
Yeah, you whip. Let's go for a ride.
Because what else do you do when you get a new car than
Yeah.
take the boys out for a HSP,
Yeah.
right?
It's
So
the HSP.
go down to our local. I don't know what
It didn't come back.
ungodly hour it was at night, but
Windows down. You
windows
know,
down,
Feel in the air.
feel in the air, testing out the sound system. We park up. All right, boys. Windows up. Front left goes up. Front right goes up. Back right goes up. Back left. It had just started raining.
Starts raining.
I'm freaking out. I was like,
Starts
oh.
raining
I
harder.
was like, no.
Pretty sure a black garbage bag had to. Was that
Yeah, where did we get that garbage
Oh, I
bag?
can't remember.
No, we
No,
just
it
said.
was, no,
No,
it was
we
that
left
night,
it.
yeah.
We left
We
it.
went and got our feed and we let it go when
No,
it was
like,
raining.
what
Like,
can we
fuck,
do?
what can we do? We're still gonna go get a HSP.
We smashed the HSP, all 4 of us ate it, you didn't have any.
Oh,
Yeah, one chip.
that's bullshit.
One chip.
I ate the whole thing.
And
Just
then-
He
saying.
doesn't eat.
We raced home and in typical U&A fashion, we just bodged over it until it could be fixed by a professional. So we got a garbage bag and a whole bunch of tape and just sealed it until the next day.
You made do.
Until we
made
could
good.
approach it properly. But yeah, that got fixed. Once that got fixed, all the electricals went in the car. I remember turning the car on, driving, the radio wouldn't work. I pushed the audio button, the radio wouldn't work. I turned the car off, turned the car on again, radio wouldn't work. Hit the car, the radio would work. Pull up at the servo to get the frozen oak. Turn the car off, take the keys out, and the radio's still fucking on. I don't know what was happening with this car. Lock the car, all I can hear is music. I was like, I don't know.
What a car.
Yeah, that didn't last long. That was a.
So was that just before the S3?
Oh, a couple of weeks, months.
It was it was an in-between car between the Mazda and the S3.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of popped up while I was still looking. It was cheap, and it got flipped really easily.
Really quickly.
Luckily.
You're very good at flipping
Can
cars.
say
yeah.
that car is still kicking today.
Yeah?
I know the owner.
With electrical problems?
No.
Oh, really?
Sell it to an auto
You're
electrician.
not mates with him, are you?
Sell it to an auto electrician.
Yeah.
Sell it to an auto electrician. You'll be right.
Very smart.
But yeah, now I have the S3.
And what have you done to it?
Everything
Does it go
buckled.
hard.
Yeah, it goes okay.
Could go harder.
I think
It
the
could go
dri-
hard.
I think if you raise it up so it's scrap.
I think the driver lets it down, to be fair. But what's been done to it? All right, quick recap. Bilstein coilovers. It's got wider wheels. It's got RS4 semi-slicks.
Is it like Audi RS4?
Yeah, Audi RS4. Yeah.
The ones that come with the RS4.
Hankook Ventus RS4 semi-slicks. 18 by 8.5.
Hashtag
Oh,
sponsor.
the specs.
Yep. A whole bunch of white line goodies. Shout out to my boys. What do we got? We got front and rear 3-point adjustable sway bars.
Ooh.
24mm front and back.
Ooh.
Whoa.
We have got
Oh, specific.
front
detail.
lower control arms.
Oh, you read the brochure.
Yeah.
So after all of this,
I'm not
is
done.
Oh,
And we got a front roll center correction kit
that's pretty good.
because stance life and I'm a low boy.
Dirt nasty.
It's done all the suspension
Nothing to the engine.
except for coilovers.
No, nothing to the engine is good. I'm with that. Do all the suspension, do everything.
Mhm.
Leave the engine as is
100%.
until you can actually
Afford to do
you
it properly.
Handle the power.
The
afford to
car
do it
is-
properly, or you
yeah.
know how to drive the car.
Well, I don't know how to drive the car.
I thought you did alright when you were at Wakefield.
Actually, yeah. What was your
What was the time? We were talking about this the other
day.
day, and we couldn't figure out if you were like slow boy 125 or if
No,
you
it
were like
wasn't that.
5.
Did
Like
you crack
fast, like,
120s?
Yeah. I was like a 114, 115.
that's what I said. That's what I said.
So you-
That's
he
quick.
was fast.
So is that quicker than you?
And that was
Almost
on that was on
fucking
stock
horrible.
tires.
120 was the quickest I got.
That's enough. Come on.
That's when he was on
Hey,
stock
quick brakes.
tires.
That
That wasn't
was-
on his Audi RS4s.
That was within like, I bought the car in September. That was the track day in January,
Mm.
Yeah.
and that was completely stock wheels, street tires.
Yeah.
Hadn't even changed fluids.
Yeah, I remember. I
That's
remember. I was
right.
impressed.
Tracked
Good
it,
car.
car.
drove it home, and it still worked.
Vag.
So-
And you
And
go
now
around the
you've
corners,
done
yeah.
like the whole catalogue of white line
yeah.
on it.
Grip
So,
activated.
yeah, grip activated. So all the suspension's done. I just got to.
Except for the coilovers.
The only thing that's broken is me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you keep telling me a
and
bit
you
of an
broke your
injury here.
feet.
Yeah, 2 surgeries later, but
I'm going to say when you go out there, I reckon you'll be like 112 or quicker.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, either that or I'll flip it.
Why don't we set a goal for you? 112.
I reckon 112 is very
I reckon
attainable.
112.
Very attainable.
You heard it
There we go.
first.
Stay tuned.
White line
112.
activated.
Stay tuned.
Rilla? That's
Dave,
his
come
car's.
Are you sure you want to pass it on to
Really,
me?
just
I'm
being-
done.
Just
You-
being nice
hold on,
and
hold on.
quiet in the corner.
You,
over
you,
there.
you all know my dad, okay?
Yes.
And you know what he loves to buy.
You'll see him in the
eBay,
blue
eBay
booth.
Fords.
specials.
Fords.
No, not Fords. He loves buying wacky shit. Let's
Yeah,
just
he
start
does.
with that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, buckle in, get ready for this.
An eBay special.
Pack your bags.
Alright, so
We're
I
going
think
on a field trip.
A fuel.
first car I remember driving. This was I wasn't even on my P's yet, or even on my L's actually. Jesse was driving this
It's
car.
illegal.
This was in Mexico.
Shut up,
Ah.
Just for a bit of a fun fact, my dad owned I think it was a Mercedes SL 500, but this
That's
one was
mad.
this one was the Princess Diana car, like not the exact one,
Yeah,
the
right
same
off.
spec, not that one.
Son.
But like I'm talking full luxury. Had the curtains in the back. You had the seatbelt
How do
thing
you
that
get
comes
that?
out to you.
How do you get that?
I
Why,
can't
why does he
remember.
like Ford so much now?
I don't
Why
know.
is-
Had
Okay.
a V8. It was it's pretty cool, quick. Had bulletproof glass as well.
Your dad's a
What?
boss dog.
Whoa.
Okay.
Are you sure
He-
your dad's not? He's
he's
not
not
a
like
Lego
in that
mafia.
Arab mafia.
He is.
Anyway, we had that. It just probably was the least practical car we could have owned.
Yeah.
In what way?
In what way?
It was bulletproof.
Well, it was big, sluggish, fucking chewed through fuel.
Name
Had
something
2
different
doors.
compared to oh, it was 2 doors.
Yeah. Yeah,
could
it-
have
it-
Big
it's-
family 2 doors.
It's a cool car, like heaps spacious
Yeah,
and
how much that's
luxurious,
probably
but
worth now?
I don't know.
5 doors.
Don't break, don't tell free.
Anyway.
Don't tell Fred, don't tell.
So that was the first car I recall driving before my L's, and then flashback or flash forward a few more years, and I learnt to drive on a Mazda 626 hatchback.
Hectic.
Yeah. Now this thing was like legit. It was like 4-cylinder. I can't remember. It was like 2 point something liter, 4-cylinder, automatic. First front wheel drive car I've driven. so that was awesome. That's probably why I love front
Learn
wheel
the
drive so
balance
much
of
now.
understeer and
But that, for some reason, I thought I was the maddest guy in that car. Any rain day, and I was like hooking around corners and just putting my foot down on the accelerator.
So you can-
And it wasn't understeering, it was like wheel spinning.
Oh,
And
really?
pulling me along. It was
That's
just.
called understeer.
It was
yeah, I'm pretty sure pull you along to the curb.
Nah, it wasn't that. It was awesome, but yeah, I used to do this stupid thing where like I'd rev it and then pull off the accelerator a bit and then put my foot down again, and I would do this like double rev thing and pull harder and thought I was super cool. Anyway,
Not double
that was-
Were
revving.
you still on your L's?
No, this
I
was
heard that.
This is before we knew.
yeah, this was way before these guys knew.
Mm.
I think this was like early on my red peas, and then that was L's and red peas. Sorry.
So did you always like cars, Driller?
Yeah.
You just had no one to
Since
share
a
the
kid,
passion.
just had no one to share the passion with. My old friends didn't really like cars. These boys
Yeah.
saved me.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
5 sisters.
Yeah.
Didn't help.
And then next
5
car
cars to drive.
after that was a lovely Saab 9000 CD.
What?
I've owned a Saab.
What is that?
Yeah, that's
You're a
It's like-
fighter jet pilot.
Yeah, no. This thing was like probably one of the most awesome cars in terms of interior quality. It was just like leather, and the dash was beautiful.
So,
Who bought
Um,
that?
my
Was that
dad.
Your dad
My
just
dad,
bought
like I
Saab?
said, my dad loves buying
he just
The
buys
the
cars.
weirdest things.
He's like, I'm just gonna buy Saab.
But dad's always been a sucker for like this car's like reputation as it's like a luxury car. It's good quality,
Mhm.
build quality, etc. He loves that stuff. Even if it's the most unreliable car, that will sell him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So which is why we had that, and my sister wrote that off in the car park.
That was the one.
Don't know how, but she managed to do that.
She was trying to lift off in the Saab.
Okay, and then after that we got a
All I can think of is, are you a federal officer of the law? Sorry, continue.
Magna, Mitsubishi Magna.
Oh,
this
whoa.
was in like a
Yeah,
maroon
a swag
colour,
car.
auto.
Were you in front of Mick when he's...
When I was on fire.
Could have been you.
What was that, a Magna?
It was a Magna.
Oh, well, no. It was, anyway,
It's a bits missing.
yeah, that was surprisingly quick for my age. I mean, I think everyone smashes on
Yeah.
Are
Magnas
they
or whatever.
V6? They're V6.
V6.
Yeah, V6, yeah.
They're front wheel drive.
It's like
Auto.
a Camry, like a V6 Camry.
Yeah,
Front
but
wheel
a
drive
bit,
Camry.
a bit more
Hey,
sporty.
Camry's rear wheel drive? No.
No, they're front wheel
Yeah,
drive.
front wheel drive, yeah.
Pretty cool car. I know people talk shit about them, but I'm a fucking big Magna fan.
Oh,
So
isn't
just
there like
saying.
a top model that's got a mad engine? And a
I
four-wheel
can't
drive?
remember. I think the VR.
Define mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Define mad.
A
Yeah.
semi-cool
They're-
version.
They're cool, but not mad.
Yeah, okay, they're cool.
Better than a Mark
Um,
5, but not quite Mark 4.
Hey!
4.5.
Anyway, so that thing ended up having, I think, my sister drove over a rock which cracked the sump, so that like spilled oil
I've heard
everywhere.
that
Your
before.
sisters?
Internal engine. Yeah, guys, 5 sisters. I'm pretty sure most cars,
Well, bin-
most
have
family
been
cars
binned.
have been binned. And then we got a Audi A4, 2.4 litre V6.
Okay.
You
This
know,
was
didn't know it was a thing.
this was decent. They either came in a 1.8 litre turbo or a 2.4 V6.
Euro game.
Had Tiptronic. It was older, but leather interior and whatever. It had all the goodies. Funny enough, I actually ruined that car.
Yes.
Oh, my sisters.
Can't blame my sisters.
Driving around one day, thought I'd slap it in Tiptronic. I thought it was fucking mad, taking off the lights and stuff. And then 1 second I like heard this bang, and I wasn't sure what it was.
It wasn't a DSG pop?
Definitely wasn't a
Difference
DSG
on
pop.
that?
It was probably some, I don't even know. I don't actually know what happened to the car. I just remember hiding from the fact that something happened when I was behind the wheel, and Dad was like, "Oh fuck, something's wrong with the car."
You're like,
I don't know.
I don't know. Must be one of the girls.
Anyway, some fucking popping noise happened, and then the car started making this really whiny supercharger sound, and
now
like
you're like, this is hefty. I've got a supercharger.
in my head, I'm like, okay, something's really wrong with the car, but this sounds too good to not like abuse right now. So I shit you not, I was planting my foot, smashing through the gears, and it sounded like a supercharger. It was amazing, but I remember I was parked
Something
outside,
was wrong with the gearbox.
parked outside my ex-girlfriend's house, walked outside, just oil fucking everywhere. And I was like, yeah, that can't be good, called Dad. Car got towed, I think.
Supercharger's gone.
I don't know if he got rid of the car, but yeah, that disappeared. Anyway, then we got a Mercedes-Benz C180, like a 1990
Yeah.
model. That was
Seen
also maroon. Dad picked it up. Didn't get the chance to drive that one because the first day he brought it home, my sister and my mum went shopping. It was raining.
No
No,
way.
no,
Rear wheel drive,
Binned it.
taking a turn, fucking goes in full initial D, like fucking Euro beat intensified. Didn't know anything about like counter steering or anything like that, and then boom, straight into a tree.
Oh,
no,
you got Fender's insurance
Yeah,
premiums.
straight into a tree.
That was the day that.
That was the day that he brought it home.
Wow.
Born just
Poor
like
Fred.
that.
Wow.
All because of an Initial D accident. I think my sister's got to stop watching Initial D, but
Oh,
that one was gone. Finally, Dad ended up getting me my first proper car, which was the Ashtray.
Yeah, the
Hold an
ashtray.
ashtray.
Hold an ashtray.
This was my first manual car. This was actually the first car I learned to drive manual on. The best thing was, fun fact for you guys, I'd never driven manual before, but because I'd played so many video games with manual driving modes, I could
You
drive
had
the car.
learned how to drive, mate. Yeah.
I knew how to drive the car straight away, so
That's
I thought that was
pretty
pretty cool.
YouTube
So yeah, anyway, got that.
YouTube
That was
taught us, I remember.
that was my daily for, I think that was a while, wasn't it?
Yeah,
a year and a half,
Yeah, it
2
was
years.
back when we first
I used to, me
started
and
hanging
John
out.
used to work on the same job site. That was my car to get to the
I
job
never
site.
knew it was manual.
It was
How
manual.
cool is that?
Well,
Mind you, it's still outside.
Still
It
outside.
had the,
It's just been sitting there for
the
years.
radio didn't work.
That's I'm getting to that.
Get to that.
I can't remember what happened. The radio ended up going on it, and I didn't know the code for it. And I heard that you had to pay some stupid fee to get it recoded. So I'm like, nah, stuff this. Ended up just like driving without a radio, and got so sick of it to the point where I bought a Bose SL3 Bluetooth wireless speaker.
Wireless speaker.
And ended up just rocking around with that in the car. Like,
Everywhere.
this guy used to tease me and laugh at me, even though it was the coolest thing. It
Now
was
guess
like
who's doing
it was like having a head unit, fucking mad audio, without having to pay for it.
You get in the car and then you'd be sitting there like this.
Oh,
Oh, John, can you hold this? Can you connect my phone? Okay.
Anyway, that was like pretty reliable, given that it's
Yeah.
it's a German car. It's built in Germany.
That's optimal.
Um,
Oh, they are?
yeah,
Oh.
that car is.
So technically a euro.
It's a Euro, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've had a big.
We've all been
Euro
part of
upbringing.
Euro.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Big
can I just
Euro.
state one fact, but
What?
every single one of them has died.
And we've all seen the light.
We've all seen the light, except for you.
And one's yet to die.
One's
Oh,
Euro.
hold on. You got towed a few weeks ago.
It's me.
Anyway,
We'll scratch
So, yeah,
that.
ashtray.
Astra, that one was pretty good. Ended up getting sick of it, left it out. It's still sitting out on the grass. If anyone wants it, let me know. Happy to sell it
Nah,
to you.
shoot box right in this stuff.
But yeah, these boys want to ship Australia, so we might do
Yeah,
that. That'd be pretty cool.
100%.
Yeah, that's
Should we ship box Australia? Let us know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd
Let
be
us
Yeah.
know in the comments. And then from there, I saved up a bit of cash,
The only way
started
is
working a
up.
bit harder, and managed to buy the black ITR, the DC2 Type R. So decent upgrade.
Which has gone up a fair bit since you bought it.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
The last one, I saw a red one
Yeah.
for sale like yesterday for 16 or 17 grand.
What was it,
Was it
dirt?
on with like 280,000 kilometers?
Yeah, it was like 280,000 kilometers, scratched galore, wasn't ceramic coated.
Yep. Mine is ceramic coated, mate.
No, it's not.
You
Yours
fucking
is
put
yours is
sandpaper.
sand coat. Yours is sand coat. But yeah, well, I don't know. Had 1,000 mods and whatnot. Yours is almost original, almost 100% original, apart from like one thing.
That means it's worth twice as much.
Exactly, that's what I thought.
32
Yeah,
grand.
got the. I saw the Teggy come up. I mean, if you've already seen the video, you probably know the story.
That was our first vlog.
Yeah.
Go watch it.
Saw it come up. Didn't know I wanted it, and then asked John, and he's like, "Fuck yeah, that's a cool car. Get that." Anyway, ended up flying out to Port Macquarie.
And you surprised everyone.
With
We
John.
all had
Yeah,
no one
idea.
knew, it was just John and
no
myself.
idea at all.
We booked tickets, flew out there on Saturday, checked it out, picked it up, and drove it back and surprised all these guys with it, which was pretty cool.
I remember having family.
But yeah,
night
it's-
council.
It's extremely like stock, except for a few minor additions. I got a aftermarket steering wheel and shift knob, but other than that, it's stock even down to the factory airbox, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Brake pads awesome.
Now
yeah.
I did have to upgrade
Yeah.
the brakes. Took it to
Which
its
is
first track
tasteful.
day.
It's for the.
Yeah, took
mods.
it to its first track day and had the biggest issue with the brakes. They were just fading on me,
Yeah, Sponge City.
overcooking them. Sponge City had stock lines, stock rotors, stock pads, stock fluid.
Yeah.
So they cooked on me in the first lap, whatever it was. From there, I upgraded to DBA T3 slotted rotors, and then I got Intima brake pads, and I'm also running braided lines, and I think it's Penrite RBF 600 brake fluid.
No.
Yeah.
Penrite or is it Motul?
No, it's Penrite.
Penrite?
Yeah,
Okay.
the Motul
Can't
was
say that.
unavailable, but that's pretty much
Oh,
it
yeah.
for my car.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on.
Hey, you
Before,
got one more.
before we.
Oh, what?
What
that's-
about
Oh yeah. What? It's
the Euro beat?
Okay.
No,
so,
not the
no.
beat.
Oh, wait, what are you
Not
talking
the
about?
beat.
Oh, the one in the garage.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
yeah,
just
yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
or just casually own like a classic
We
Mustang?
did a video on
just-
it back a while
yeah,
ago.
Yeah,
whatever.
we've done a video on it if you haven't already seen it. Growing up, Dad had this awesome 1967 red Mustang, which has been in the family for quite some time. And lucky enough, for my 21st, he gifted it to me. unfortunately, it's got a few issues here and there. It
Yeah.
kind of seems to have
Catch on fire.
apart from the fire, it caught fire once. It just struggles with issues every time I take it out, which is why it just stays in the garage.
Yeah.
Until I have enough money to kind of spend and just fix it up.
Just keep
I'm not gonna do anything for now. Just let it sit there.
One day you should
It's not
race
going
it.
anywhere. So
Yeah, you can make it like a road
Yeah.
race car.
at some stage, I want to put a lot of money into it, get it back up and running.
Yeah.
You know what the
Oh.
biggest issue on that car is?
What?
The U&A sticker.
I don't want to talk to people about the U&A curse because then they're going to stop buying some stuff.
Exactly.
Let's not talk about that. But funny enough,
Guaranteed lap times.
It is.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed fun.
Guaranteed swags.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Swags.
definitely.
and that's it. Apart from the beat, but
Oh, don't just
Oh,
scratch
no, apart
over
from
the
the
feet.
beat.
You can't just scratch over that.
Just a.
all right, one other.
Am I the only one eating these?
No,
Guys.
I'm
You,
loving
you
it.
guys eat these as well?
I hope you can make a tally in the video after every time I eat one. It's great.
All right, spanner in the works.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute spanner in the works. I used to work with this guy who spoke of this awesome Honda he had, which we didn't know of at the time. I don't think you knew. We didn't know. I think I
Well, I
brought it
knew
up.
what they
I
were.
think I brought it up ages. This was even before. I don't even know if you.
Oh,
knew
this
about
was-
it. Just
okay.
ages ago.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he told me about it and told me it was a personal import from Japan. It was like this 3-cylinder Roadster,
Never-
rear-wheel drive.
They never came here, did they?
Never came here, never
Okay,
came to
thought so.
Australia. Wasn't sure what it was, and he told me what it was, and I looked it up, and it's a Honda Beat. For those who don't know what the Beat is, it's exactly that. It's a key car, 3-cylinder. I think it's 660 cc.
It's about this big.
Little convertible.
Manual, little convertible,
Rear-wheel
rear-wheel drive,
Mhm.
high revving, came factory with
so cool.
ITBs, which was another cool feature it had. And ended up following him up multiple times.
Trying to
First, this guy.
I
wanted
was
the
like,
car.
I want it. I want to buy it.
So
But
John
then
really wanted it, and like
he
I
kept
remember
falling through.
every time we'd hang out, John would be on his phone on 1JP looking at cool shit he could buy for this Honda Beat. But that ended up falling through. I think he ended up buying something else.
Like we were actually gonna go look at it one
Yeah,
weekend.
and then he kept
And then he
flaking.
fell through.
He kept
That's
flaking.
right.
I was prepared to buy it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was ready to buy it. I really
Well, that
wanted
was sweetie, weren't
This
we?
is when I had a lot of like money coming in.
Yeah,
with
yeah,
good
yeah.
Oh,
job.
what happened? Oh, I don't know.
Anyway,
Anyway, so that he flaked on that. So I think John bought a car in between that.
yeah.
Yeah, nothing special.
Anyway, so then kept chasing him myself. I think it died for a bit. Then I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna follow this guy up. This is a cool car. I want it.
Yeah.
Followed him up. Ended up buying it for I can't remember how much it was.
Don't
Not
disclose.
gonna disclose. But yeah, it's not in the best nick. It's just sitting in my yard now.
It
For sale.
needs a little bit of work, and I
Cool.
reckon it'll be back
If
up
someone
and running.
knows a thing or two about rust repair, it'll be sweet.
Easy.
It needs a little bit of work to get it running, but if you want to get it into like pristine condition,
Yeah.
it's gonna take a
Well,
decent amount.
not only that, like, I don't even think it needs that much to get it working. The only issue is they never came to Australia.
Yeah.
There's so little number of them that finding parts is
Can you just
physically
find parts
impossible.
like
No.
online?
No.
You can, but it's
It's just a pain.
you're,
It's
you're
so
not you're
hard.
not gonna get like genuine Honda stuff. It's like all aftermarket stuff, and you don't even know if you're buying the right product. So the problem is everything's in
Yeah.
Japanese because they're
Yeah.
Japanese made, Japanese only car.
Mm.
So over here, there's no like big specialists.
No.
Here, like you can find Nissan specialists, you can
Yeah.
find Honda specialists, Toyota
Exactly right.
specialists, but there's no.
I think everyone you called said they
Yeah,
we'd never worked on one. Before.
That's one thing.
Really?
When I bought it, I knew it had a few issues and I wanted to get it fixed. And I called around to different mechanics. No one could help me out.
Mm.
Everyone's like, "Oh, look, I've never worked on it before. Bring it in, but I can't guarantee anything." Another problem is I was happy to do it myself, but I took off the engine cover. Mind you, obviously it's mid-engine. But you pop open the engine cover and you look in there and like all you can see is
The oil cap. That's
oil
what's-
cap and like the fan, and that is
So
it.
what, you have to drop
You,
the
I'm
engine?
pretty sure
you
you'll drop the
legit
whole
have
sub.
to drop the whole sub,
The
take the
subframe to get
engine
to it.
out to actually
To
do
work
anything
on
on
it.
it. So unfortunately, that
So
kind of
It's all
Yeah.
packaged. It's
Oh,
all
yeah.
packaging.
Yeah, it's hard.
yeah that kind of
So these
screwed-
little,
yeah,
these
screwed
little
me up.
roadblocks kind of added up and
Yeah, and it just ended up sitting there, and I bought the Integra, and I absolutely love that car, and all my attention and money goes onto that. So the Beat ended up just sitting in the background. Unfortunately, it's got to go.
Mm.
It's just going to sit there and just collect more
You'd
cobwebs.
rather
So,
put money towards a Mustang.
correct.
Family heirloom.
And potentially
All the
not
time.
upgrade, but buy another sports car, something maybe
something,
like
something.
a
Like
Mark
a Civic.
II or
Ooh.
something cool like that.
Mark II.
Ooh.
Isn't it like a Mark II Golf?
Like a JZX.
No, Mark II.
Mark II Gold.
Mark II, Mark II.
No. No.
Mark II Gold.
So yeah,
Watch this space. Mick, you said you had more after the Clio. Like, you
Did I?
Yeah. There's more after the Clio, didn't you?
What I
Because
got
after
right
Clio
now?
just went back to Ant.
Oh, what I have right now?
Oh, yeah, that's probably the greatest car of all of us.
After the car, what did you buy?
The Subaru Outback.
Oh, yeah, Subaru Outback.
Super Outback, guys. With
Which
the,
smelled like wet socks.
The twin
Yes.
sunroofs, twin leaking.
twin
not-
sunroofs, factory water leak.
It wasn't a water leak. It
no,
had a
it was-
spa in the
At
back.
a spa.
Swamp. There's the swamp
What a
feature.
swamp
It was a
feature.
swamp feature.
Yeah.
Aftermarket
just
mold
stunk
retention.
Of a swamp.
Water retention. Yeah, no, that's a really, really bad car. Whoever owns
It's
one,
awesome.
I beg of you to get rid of it right now.
No, the engine's hectic.
It's got a H6.
And what does it have?
2 sunroofs.
Oh, it has lift. It has lift.
Yeah.
It has lift. I've tried hitting it.
Apparently,
Never hit it.
apparently.
Yeah, Nick's like, oh, you can feel it, you can feel
The
it. I'm like,
mystical lift.
I ain't feeling that.
You can't feel it, you can't
But
hear
hold on,
it.
can you tell them about the power steering one?
And, oh, the supercharger one.
Yeah, and also the rotors, please tell them.
Oh, okay. So
Metal on
I
metal.
didn't have a power steering failure. It's I installed a supercharger. But it only worked when you turned the
Just
wheel.
like you had in your car.
Except his wasn't like explosive, like his didn't destroy his car.
No, it
Yeah,
didn't.
You could still drive
And
it.
funnily enough, it made a really loud noise, but
Only when you
it
turn.
worked fine. It worked fine. No extra power though, unfortunately. And then the rotors were that warped that if you stomped on the brakes any speed over 50 kilometers,
What do you mean
Just shut it.
oh no, it wasn't even stomped. There was like a light tap. It was
If you thought about braking, the car would shake.
yeah, the car would shake.
He
And
always
then-
has cars that shake.
yeah, poor thing.
And
And like honestly, I couldn't even sell the thing. I gave it away for free,
Mhm.
and
I
it
thought
still
you guys
lives.
still had it.
Nah, I gave it away.
Yeah,
I gave it
hold on,
for
but
free.
your dad ended up fixing it up.
Yeah, no,
Change the
he
power
changed
steering
the
lines.
brake, all the brakes, lines.
Yeah.
I think he did
It
everything.
ended up driving quite well.
It did,
Yes.
it did.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, I was in Bondi once and it was like overheating really badly. Like it was off the charts. I was like, wow, this is bad. And then I looked in like the radiator and whatnot, and it was completely empty. I was like, wow, must have a water leak. Took it to my family friend who's a mechanic, and he looked at it and he goes, look, with this engine, it's an engine out kind of job. And I was like, look, buddy, the car's worth about 14 cents. I cannot afford to
It's not
take
even rounded up.
I don't even round it up.
Put water in it and send it.
Like, I can't, it's not even worth fixing the engine. I'm like, just set it on fire. Lo and behold, somehow miraculously, we put water in it one day and it just pissed out. The next day, water in it again, it pissed out. I think the third time, when I was putting water in, maybe a leaf went in there. And I don't know what happened.
And it stayed.
And it stayed and nothing pissed out. And I was like,
You know what it was?
That was weird.
It was that mold retention.
it was the mold.
It just grew.
I flicked the switch on mold retention. But look,
That's actually amazing.
it
Like,
is and
I've
it's
never heard of that.
And
ever
it
happening.
still lives to this
before.
day. The guy still drives it with the mold retention feature on. And I haven't heard from him since, so good
Either
luck
that,
to him.
either that or he's binned himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh. And then I just didn't have a car for a long time. And then the boy we had Civics. You had the Teggy already, I'm pretty sure.
Mhm.
He once had a Civic. And we'll get to his car very soon.
Elmo.
And then we had Elmo, we were building Elmo, and I'm like, I want a really cheap runaround car because that Outback was costing me like $100 a week in fuel.
Mhm.
So then I went and bought Mighty EK.
The world's greatest car.
It is
Yeah.
Midnight Purple 3.
Midnight Purple
Give
3,
us a bit of a rundown on that.
1996 EK GLI with power windows, power steering, power sunroof. No.
Someone read the manual.
So you can read the brochure. It is 150% genuine OEM, not one modification. Even has the factory radio, which is exactly what I wanted. Has a shitload more dents than I want. The boys weren't happy with that
yeah.
when I bought it.
We
But-
tried to convince him to not buy it. Funny
but-
enough, he pulled through with the sale. So
Exactly.
Yeah, we were
anyway,
actually-
it's a good.
And
car.
now,
It's a
like,
great car. Got us here tonight.
it goes here
Yeah.
tonight. Exactly. It's got a Mighty D16 engine. It's only like 130,000 k's.
It has VTEC.
It has VTEC,
You gotta
so-
do it yourself though.
No. So what happens is when you are driving and you're accelerating, if you accelerate at 3/4 and then you're in about 3,000 or 4,000 RPM, and then you hit it further,
You got VTEC.
You got VTEC.
VTEC.
I'm just manually engaging VTEC. That's all it is.
But it works. It actually works.
And it actually
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The pool's hot.
It feels no different to the B18. Just
No.
say
No. And it does awesome lap times
Mm.
when we go to the track next time.
you got those fantastic Acopias on it.
I've got
They're
the
grippy as hell.
Bridgestone Acopias,
Yeah.
whatever they are.
You've also got some, I think, wheel bearing or
I've got a wheel bearing issue.
Some that he first didn't know about, but then I made him aware of it. Whoa.
But but at the moment, it's completely original. It gets me from A to B every single day.
Reliable.
It does midnight target at 3 a.m.
Then it'll be 3 a.m. to
The shitbox target.
The shitbox target, which, well, I kid you not, is the funnest thing alive because it's on a closed road.
You sell some shitty cars, do some target.
Exactly, and I've still got it. Amazing car. I'm actually gonna track it.
Yeah, I reckon you
I'm
should.
thinking about tracking it.
Tires
it'll
and
go
brakes
alright.
are good to go.
Yeah, tires, brakes, and
Everything but coils.
everything but coilovers. Yeah. And I think that's enough for me. I'm
We've
pretty
still got,
sure.
we've still got two guys here who
Well,
haven't told
two
us
guys
about
who.
their
Probably
cool
got
cars.
two of the
Cool.
most
Yeah,
interesting cars in the fleet.
That's
Yeah.
No, I had one before that.
Now let's go to John. John doesn't say much about his car.
Hi.
Come on.
I'm John. So, Ian and I obviously had the family cars first. We had the, actually no, before that, let's rewind. I learned to drive manual on my cousin's farm.
Yeah.
Learned in like Suzuki Vitara or something
That's
like
right.
that. One of those.
Paddy Basher.
Yeah, Paddy Dasher. Used
Hey.
to run down some trees.
The
It was a bit
Mudgy-mobile.
of fun.
Mm.
And then
is this an Italian thing with cousins having
Cousins have
farms?
farms, that's the thing.
I'm Lebo and I thought we love farms, but
No.
no,
Yeah,
every
yeah.
Italian has a cousin who has a farm.
Mm.
So yeah, did that, learnt on the farm, and then learnt actually driving on the road in the Alpha 147, which was great fun, lots of understeer. But then once I got my P's, my parents didn't really want me driving that because we had the Beamer, so they're like, yeah, take the crappy car. So I drove the Beamer, had some fun with Mickey, as we touched on earlier, getting a bit sideways with that. Then eventually that died, as we touched on, and
Sad day.
we got a Volkswagen Golf
I
118
completely
TSI.
forgot about
Wow,
that car.
I forgot about that
See,
car too.
I drove that mainly as my...
Turbocharged.
Yeah, that
And
was That was
supercharged.
when I first had my Ps.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, for a while. That was during school. Used to drive to school
Yeah.
in this
Oh
new
my
car.
God.
Thought I was awesome.
I have one distinct memory with that car.
What was
I
that?
was just going flat out around that loop road, private loop road, near Gladesville.
Oh,
the
yes,
exit,
yes,
the exit to go back to, yes.
That's fine.
Bladesville,
From
but private.
Huntersville,
Yeah.
from Huntersville to yeah.
Yeah, that private track.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from Hunt.
I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't your family own that track?
Yeah.
Thought so.
Can I just ask
So-
one thing quickly?
Yeah.
It was one of the Queren brothers, but the one memory I recall about this golf was
Would you remember the Golf?
yeah, I do. There
Nah.
was,
Actually,
I do,
yeah, because you knew me before I
I do,
was a
and
JTR.
on the VW badge or whatever it was,
Oh
That's disgusting.
So,
who was it?
this was
Just
like
tell
my,
me.
this was my first thing modding cars. I thought I was awesome. I went on eBay and I bought a sticker,
Of German flag?
a German flag
Yeah,
sticker that you
okay.
place behind the VW symbol.
Oh my
And it
god.
looks like a German flag. That was
And I remember our
so
parents,
shit.
our mum was like, oh yeah, that looks nice, that's cute.
Don't mind that.
I
It's
don't mind
nice.
that.
That's-
That's
that's
the
you know.
individual.
That's the only memory I
Nah,
have about that
nah,
car.
man.
That's like
decisions.
up there when people put like the like devil horns
Oh,
on that thing. And
I'm
No,
glad
that's
the
still-
Transformer
that's
logo.
worse, but-
I'm glad my taste in car modifications has gotten better since that. That was my first little double.
completely forgot
And
about
that car,
So that car,
was
No, that car we sold back to the dealer.
that car.
Oh,
Well, anyway, I
engine
drove
troubles,
that.
engine
That was
troubles.
a family car. Drove
Mm.
that for a bit, and then
What about this?
I drove that-
Alpha?
yeah, that was the only
Oh,
one.
was that the one you guys?
Yeah, the black
Oh,
one.
okay.
So I drove that for a bit, and then I got off my P's, and I was like, I don't want to drive a family car anymore. I'm working a decent job. I've saved up a bit of money, and I decided to buy a GTR.
As you do.
As you do. As soon as I got off my P's, that was my first thing. I always loved them. I thought, it's an iconic car. It has racing heritage in Australia. They're going to go up in value. In that stage, they were sub 20 grand for a good one. And I knew they were going to go up to a fair bit. I just didn't know how much they were going to go up, how
Sure,
much they've gone up now. But I always knew they were going to go up. There were, back in those days, there were GTRs going for sub 10 grand.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you could get like a.
you could
shitty
get,
one.
you could get a shitty one. Ones these days that are going for 30, you could get for like 8 grand.
Mm.
That's no word of a lie.
Yeah.
But I didn't want one from Australia. I wanted to be the first Aussie owner. So I went through the process of having one imported.
What a
yes.
story.
What a story.
Yes. So I found an importer and went through the process. It took a while to find a car that I was happy on.
Mhm.
He wanted to hurry up and just get me to buy one and hurry on with the process, but I was very specific on what I wanted.
Yeah.
I finally found one which I liked, and I was ready to go through with the sale. And I think I was, I think it would have been 22 grand. So I put down the money,
Yeah.
started paying it. When you go through an importer, they pretty much just liaise with everything happening overseas. They send you the bills as it happens. You don't pay one lump sum. It's like you pay for the auction fee, then you pay the import fee, then you pay all these separate bills.
Yeah.
So that was going, and from start to finish, it was probably a 9-week process.
After you had bought it to get
After
it in,
I had
right?
first
Yeah.
bought it, at
The
the
actual
auctions.
searching took much longer than that.
Oh, yeah, there was the searching before that, but once I had actually purchased it from the auctions, it was a 9-week process. In that time, I got accepted to a job which I had applied for in construction. And this was a big developer, so I was really excited. Yeah, this is when we were on the same job.
I don't know. That's,
knew each
that's
other
a
before
miracle,
that.
man. I'm gonna just throw that out.
But anyway, so I got accepted to start this job, and then I'm pretty sure it was the first day when I was out on site. So I'd been speaking with this importer, and the car had come into Sydney, and it was waiting to get through compliance and be given the okay that it was up to Australian standard, and I could register it and drive it in Australia. So yeah, I think it was the first day that I was working at this new company. I was feeling the stress of starting my first real big proper job.
I think it was actually
Before that,
my
I was
birthday.
just- Your birthday? was
9th, it was like in December.
it? Yeah, because that's when
Yeah.
that's when I
9th, 10th of December.
Yeah.
that's
We
when
were
I
out
started.
at the Woolwich Pier Hotel for dinner, weren't we?
Well, I don't know. I don't remember that.
Just that whole section of your life
That
blanked
that's
out.
hard seeing blanked out. I just remember
Bad day.
being at the job site, meeting all these people, lots of stuff going on, and then I get a call from the importer, and he says, "Oh, hey John, just letting you know there's been a bit of a mishap." I'm like, "Well, mishap? What do you mean?" Some point last night, your car has been stolen from the docks.
Mm-hmm.
Not from the
And-
docks, from it was in transport between the docks and Guildford.
No, it
I
was in
was,
Guildford.
I was
They said it was-
told. No, I was originally
No?
told
It
from
was
the
in
docks.
Guildford, yeah.
I was originally
It
told.
was in Guildford, wasn't it?
I was
Yeah,
originally
that's
told
what
from the docks.
Okay.
And then my heart just dropped, and I was sitting there at my desk, and this thing that I had wanted for many years, and that I had purchased and waited 9 whole weeks to get here, all just came crashing down. And yeah, I was just in shock. I didn't know what to do.
You were a
I
broken
got,
man.
yeah, I got up, I
Oh,
went to the toilet, I was just like, I didn't know what to. I was
Yeah.
speechless.
What do you do? Like,
What do you do in a situation like that? Then I couldn't really call anyone. I didn't really want to be on the phone because I just started this new job. I didn't tell anyone at work that this happened because I wanted to like
Professional.
be professional.
Yeah.
But yeah, then after work, well, I called my dad, told him what I'd been told. Then after work, I got on the phone with this importer. Found out that it wasn't stolen from the docks. It was actually stolen from a holding yard around Guildford area. Because it had passed compliance and went to a holding yard before it was going somewhere else, something or other.
Very sus.
But anyway, yeah, it was very sus.
Mm.
It felt a lot like it was a little bit of an inside job. Not saying it was the importer, saying it was possibly someone at the docks or someone at the holding
Transport
yard.
company, who knows?
But anyway, I put the post on Facebook, and it went crazy.
Yeah, it's a little viral.
Got a hell of a lot of support from the car community. That was the first real double in the car community.
Yeah.
And felt the love here in Sydney. They shared around the story. Got a few little bits of information come through, but nothing that really led to finding the car. That company that I went through had insurance and all that kind of stuff.
Thank
so
God.
I was refunded all of the money.
Thank God.
Thankfully, I was refunded all the money that I spent, and I thought, stuff this, I'm just not going to bother trying to find a car from overseas. I'll find one here. Started looking around here, went to Parramatta Road, did that kind of thing.
Whoa.
You
We're
know,
not-
Tesco
we're not
had-
doing
Tesco
it
had
like
down
that.
there that really
Tesco had
like
some
you, eh?
shockers, but I mean, if we had bought them at that price and resold them today, we would
Oh,
have made
no.
a killing.
If we bought them back then, we would have tripled
Even
our
if you
money.
bought those shoppers back then.
Yeah.
Fine.
Mine.
Anyway, we're not about making money. We're about enjoying the cars.
Yeah, Mick.
So I found one.
Sends it to you.
I found one from a guy who had owned it for a while, Pearson Willis, great guy. He
Remember his name?
yeah,
Wow.
he was from the army.
He was in the army. I remember
Yeah.
meeting him.
He tried to buy it back off me like a year later. Not a chance.
After it went up in value.
So yeah, bought it off Pearson, and yeah, it didn't take long from when my original one was stolen. So when I
You
found the
found
new one,
one really quick.
yeah, I was certain that I wanted to find another one. I
Yeah.
found it for cheaper.
The thing is, the spec was almost the same.
The spec was almost
because yours,
identical.
Yours had BBS wheels back in Japan, right?
Yeah.
The one that you got off Pearson had BBS wheels, but he didn't include it in the sale.
Nah, that's right.
You ended
yeah,
up
stocking.
sourcing the wheels later.
Did you source those?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
from
it's
Barter
funny how
Ray,
things happen.
Okay.
Barter Ray
Right.
Import Monkey. So yeah, got that car off Pearson, and yeah, it's.
What happened a couple weeks / months after you got the car back?
It was like 3 months later, wasn't it?
Did you get a call from?
Oh yeah, so a few
Police
months.
officer
Few
called
months. Few months. No, it wasn't the police officer.
What was
It was a few months after I got the my car and I was enjoying my new car. I got a call from the importer saying, "Hey John, we found your car." And I was like, "Oh great," and then they're like, "Oh, so do you want to continue with the sale?"
No.
And I was like, "Yeah, if it's for a severely reduced rate, considering it's been stolen and God knows what's happened to it."
Yeah.
And then they were all
I
confused.
was
Like,
like, no,
no, for the exact
for
same,
the full
for
price.
the same
It's
price.
The same car.
No
It's the
way.
same thing.
Looking back on it, I probably should have bought it for the same
Oh,
price.
yeah. I wish we did buy
Everything's
it.
2020 in
Did it
hindsight.
go back into their possession and they sold it to someone else?
I believe so.
But
Yeah,
it was
that's
in,
what
like was it in a robbery? Was it
No idea what
You
happened to
never
it.
know.
far out?
Um,
So someone out
no.
there is driving a Mint R32 GTR in silver with BBS wheels. That was probably involved in an armed robbery. Actually, many people are driving that
Who
car.
knows?
Well, anyway, that's how I got my first car, which I bought with my own money, which was the GTR, and that was straight off my P's. And then from the
Keys to
GTR,
like up here.
that's pretty much the car that started used and abused.
Can we
Yeah.
elaborate on the mods? Because I feel like it's
More money for mods.
What, so what happened with mods? Mods
just run us through. Give us a
came
list.
with some coilovers in it already, which was great. Had a turbo timer in it.
Wasn't crazy.
That was about it.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Had a
nice
quad
exhaust.
filter, that was about it. Exhaust, which was mismatched bit of HKS,
still is,
bit of
isn't it?
Tome. It's hectic, bro. Don't worry.
Oh, hey, it has a perfect note.
Sounds
if you ask
bad.
me.
Yeah, there wasn't much done to it, but over the years I've done a few things. Obviously, I started with the
Just a few.
BBS LMs, which I got off Barton Ray, Import Monkey. So I bought those, reversed the faces so I'd have a bit more poke because I
That
wanted
was
it
the
to
best thing.
sit flush. Reversed the faces, got them painted. After that, did the
Front mount.
intercooler,
Yeah.
the front mount. Which
That
is
was
our
U&A.
video.
First,
then-
first U&A
And
mod
then
video.
Dylan, that's not here. Was that that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He sprayed like.
Yeah, so I wanted that intercooler to look stealth. So I sprayed it black. I started spraying it, and Dylan, our mate, came over, and I had to go inside my house and do something. And I'm like, "Oh, Dylan, do you mind finishing this off?" He's like, "Yeah, fine. I've painted before." Gets up about this far away from the intercooler and just goes,
Yeah, legit just held it. Like,
and biggest strip marks, biggest glugs. It's the shittest
Yeah.
job. Yeah, we
was
didn't,
the worst lad ever.
we didn't hang around him much after that.
hey, shout out to Dylan.
Shout out to Dylan, he's come around,
He
he's
just,
good
he just
now.
bought a GTIR.
He bought a GTIR,
Yeah.
He's got a
It's
208
nice.
BMW
He
208.
sold his
Sold his-
still
Yeah.
later.
He had a still lady. He had a
Silver.
202.
Anyway,
Still got it?
so yeah, GTR, got some wheels,
Front mount.
front mount, did a hard pipe kit because I kept blowing my
Every time you got a
Was it
boost
turbos
on
first? You did turbos first, didn't you?
dash
Was
9,
that
dash
the
7.
no, I don't know if I did turbos first or I did hard pipe kit first. What did I
Pretty sure you did
turbos
turbos first,
then
yeah.
hard
Okay,
pipe.
well, I had a gasket leak from my turbos, and it was running shit, so I took it into Westside, and Rob's like, it's gonna be a fair bit of labour to get the turbos out, you may as well upgrade them now if you want. So I upgraded to dash 7s,
Best mentality ever.
off, off a 34 N1. Well,
Yeah.
the original turbos were ceramic,
Yeah.
ceramic fans or whatever, and I wanted them to be something that could withstand some boost.
Yeah.
So I upgraded to some steel
Mhm.
fans, turbines, whatever they're called.
Turbine.
So I did that. Hard pipe kit.
Howtech.
Well, before the Howtech, I did my boost controller, which is
That's
GFB.
Wait. Did you just say, oh, it's pretty much stock?
Yeah.
Oh, it's minor. It's minor mods.
It's
It's
GTR
it's
stock,
nothing compared to
GTR
a
stock.
Matuk's race. It's GTR standard
Yeah, exactly.
stock. Hard pipe kit. Pod filter. Nothing. Yeah. Then I've got a Howtech running the whole thing. Now I've got some MCAs in it, which haven't really seen much time.
Haven't seen
Haven't
much time
really
at all.
used them at all.
At least they're in there because you've been sitting on those for
Yeah.
quite some time.
Yeah.
now, so.
I have a race seat and SPA, or is it SPG?
SPA.
SPA.
Carbon back.
Sorry, I used to know. It's carbon Kevlar, hectic race seat. What else do I have inside? I've got my Nardi deep dish wheel, my Works Bell quick release because I can't get into my seat otherwise. I swear it's not a swags thing, it's just because I couldn't get into the seat. This car, let me tell you, this was my daily while I was working for probably 4 years. Everyone thought I was pretty crazy driving this car every day, and that's as they started going up in value. And then once they got to about the 40 grand mark, I thought this is getting a bit ridiculous. I can't leave this parked down the street while I'm at work, can't leave it parked down the street at night. So yeah, I retired it from being my daily, and I bought a Civic with AMP.
No way, yeah.
We bought Eddie.
That's right.
Yeah, that's where Eddie came from.
So that's where Eddie came from. We bought an ED Civic together.
We did.
Granny spec.
Before the ED Civic, I had another car. It was just another Honda though, but that was the little Honda that got me into Hondas, little S2000. But
Oh,
Little
true.
casual,
Bought
yeah,
it.
just the
Bought it.
S2000.
Just
Alright.
the casual.
drove it, did a bunch of track days, went really well. Put some wheels on it,
Except for that
had
one
Olin
track day.
suspension. Except for one track day, which did not go very well, but it's alright car.
That was the most expensive track day I ever had.
Yeah.
Very expensive track day.
$1,000 a day.
No,
More.
$700
Plus the track.
plus $250. So it was
Fuel.
not $1,000, it was $950.
I apologise, I wasn't close enough.
$50 of fuel on the way home.
$50 of fuel on the way.
Just so you know, we've got 15%
Oh yeah.
battery.
So anyway,
Okay.
we'll brush over the S2000 quickly. Bought it because I wanted a car that was going to be fast, reliable, could see me through 6 to 12 months, do a bunch of track days, and then I can get rid of it. Ended up having it for probably 2 years, probably.
That was a cool car.
I
It
still
was a
love
really
that
cool
car.
car.
I don't
I
know
still
why I
love
didn't
that
buy
car.
it for you.
It had like a different final drive, so it was really, really revvy and it was terrible on the freeway, but it had shorter
Terrible.
gears. Extremely loud on the inside with wind noise and whine from the diff and all that sort of S2000 things.
Some nicely rolled guards, I think, as well.
Beautifully hand-rolled guards. they're like handcrafted,
crowbar.
handcrafted crowbars and machined with love. It was
You
just
know when people-
absolutely beautiful.
People lower the car but they get like the
The
pipe
hole
and
they
they roll
reverse
it.
it.
No, when they're in the ghetto, they put a pipe and they go, "All right, drive forward."
Yeah.
All right, drive
That's how-
forward.
that's how-
All right, drive forward.
They look like
Like-
those Old El Paso taco shells.
To the point where we got Sydney guard rolling to come over and he looked at him and he's like,
I can't fix this.
These are fucked.
"Yeah, pretty much."
Yeah.
Anyway, filled out the guards nicely with a set of C28Ns in probably the best spec you can get. I reckon,
Amazing
which was
spec.
Oh, perfect.
9-inch wide, which looks really wide on those things. Square set, so 9-inch at the front, 9-inch at the back, plus 40, I think they were. So they set out really well. Had to run a stupid amount of camber at the front to get them to work with those guards. But no, the car worked really, really well. Went really hard. Had a oil cooler and all these other stuff. The oil cooler didn't function as it should have.
The oil leaker.
The oil leak on the oil cooler, which ended up leaking around the whole track at Wakefield once. And if you go from turn 1, ripple strip, and the whole way back to the pits covered in oil, it's about $700 worth of H covered.
It takes a while to put sand on there and sweep it away.
So if you come off, if
It's
there's an
not-
oil leak,
It's not a fun day. If you come off, just if an oil hose or something goes and you're leaking oil, just stop.
Go off.
In my defence, I had no idea that I had a mechanical failure.
apart from the massive
Apart from-
360 spin
Well,
off
the-
you did on the
well, I thought that I ran out of talent, not ran out of oil. So what actually happened was that on the oil cooler, which was at the front, one of the hoses going into it just completely popped off, sending oil underneath my car onto my rear wheels as I was exiting just past the kink. Sort of, would you call the kink first corner, so then second
Yeah,
corner?
first
corner.
So it's the second corner, and just completely rotated. At the time, I had my cousin in the car, ding, and he's never been in the car with me since. He was so scared, but it was great.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, rightfully so. And at that point, like, we just spun and there was smoke everywhere. And I've never had a huge spin on track. Usually I'm a pretty calm driver.
Yeah.
Cool, calm and collected, and I don't
Nobody's
spin. Calm but fast. Yeah. Most of the time when I'm not going off. But I don't go off that often, I must say. And when that happened, I thought that all that smoke everywhere was just because I just spun out. And that's what happens when you spin out. The tyres, friction, all the rest, and there's smoke. But no, the smoke continued as I drove back to the pits. And I was like, oh, it's still smoking everywhere. It's amazing. But that was just oil being burnt, leaving an absolute trail in my wake. And
Trail distraction.
it's alright, because it had the oil cooler, the car was actually fine. The oil light, I don't even remember it coming on until I got in the pits. So it was just the extra oil which was in the cooler. Somehow it maintained pressure and got back, and we put the plug on and we filled it up with oil and drove home. Anyway, get rid of the S2000. I think it's in Melbourne now. I hope the owner's happy with it. I'm sure they are. They're a solid
the car's
car.
fine
They're a
after
solid
that.
car. Like that was like 6 months into the ownership, and I had it for another year and a half after that, so it's fine.
You did have a hard top for a bit.
Do you have a hard top for a bit? Yeah, sent the hard top back to where it came from, and that was it.
We'll scratch that
and-
story.
Yeah, and now
Onto the greatest.
Anyway,
onto the
back
great
to
car.
Mm.
Back to Eddie. So we
So-
bought it off
so-
off a
Yeah, we bought it off an old granny
Portuguese
somewhere.
a
lady.
Portuguese lady
It was
who was
perfect.
going back overseas, and she had to sell this car. It was literally on a concession card holder's rego,
Mhm.
like it was on a pensioner's
It was
rego.
proper granny
It
spec.
was
Yeah.
actually granny spec, 70 or 80,000 kilometres,
So,
but got 90,000.
I drove that as my daily for
Yeah.
I don't know, a year or half a year.
Yeah.
And when that became my daily, I started driving the GTR a little bit sillier on track.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And
Which
I
always leads to
would
other
go
I would have
non-stop,
called 25 laps
25.
No,
with no break.
non-stop hot laps.
Hot laps.
Hot laps, like hot
When
laps
you have an
trying to-
open pit session
Open pit
and you
session.
just
I never forget. I remember standing on the pit wall with John Boston next to us, standing there, we're all smiling, watching. John flies past, and I think your car was misfiring or something. I was like,
Yeah.
oh. And he's like, oh, that sounds like a bag of shit.
that's
And that's when that was like on his 24th lap.
that's when the GTR went through a few little troubles,
Mm.
and
Hiccups.
yeah, I wasn't giving it the most love, as much love as I should have been giving it, and
He was definitely getting used.
I was
and
getting
abused that
proper
day.
used and abused, but because of that, I had to park it up for a bit and just daily the Civic,
which is an awesome little car today.
which I dailied for a bit.
In its stock form, I found that the most refreshing car in the world. All glass everywhere, sunroof open,
See
all
everything.
glass everywhere.
The
Compared
glass
to
house.
modern cars, like you get in my missus' car, and it's all confined and closed, and it feels
Massive
all
A
comfy.
pillars and
Massive A pillars, low visibility. You jump in the ED and it's just a
Glass
glass
house.
box, glass house everywhere. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
We need safety.
So,
To make it safer, I removed the steering wheel and put an airbag.
so I had the ED for a bit, and then you wanted to get rid of the S2000, and I was thinking of getting a new car as well.
And I was thinking of getting a new car as well.
So-
I was thinking,
We did.
we were trying to figure out what to do and what to buy and whatever. At one point I was like, should I buy an E90 M3 or should I do something silly to the ED?
So you took over the reins of the ED.
Yeah.
And I bought my other
Did you look at bought
little
his
shit
cool
box,
little box?
which I currently have now,
Yeah.
which is a Daihatsu Move.
What an upgrade. Oh,
Great car.
Hectic little
It's a
car.
little 3-seal Japanese key car. Another glass house like the ED.
It's so refreshing. I
You
love
can
driving
see
a car,
when you
can
turn
see
around,
things.
you can see whatever you want. Like it's like there's no car there.
yeah.
So that's my little current daily. It's stands out little thing. Has some coilovers in it. Has some genuine Hiyashi racings. Pretty cool.
It's such a cool little
Good
thing.
for the shitbox Torge.
Oh, great.
Lots of fun for that. So I took that reins of that, and Anne took over with the ED.
I took over with the ED, and we had spoken to the boys at BYP a little while ago when they fixed the clutch on the car, because we actually before this happened we actually did a miniature engine swap with a race
let's not
engine
talk about
that
this.
we
Oh, we'll never talk about that.
a
That
race
was like
engine
one
that we
of
brought
those-
up from Melbourne. We put it in, but
Shit.
we did get it to start and
Yeah.
run, but it was just not going to cut it as a road car engine.
That's why I went and bought the
Mm.
Move, because
That's
I was
why I
like,
bought like
yeah,
this project is not working. We're pulling our hair out. It was like a race car, and it was just
it wasn't.
so temperamental.
It wasn't worth spending more money to get that engine to work.
And it was a D15B VTEC Jap spec engine,
It was cool.
which is a cool
was
engine,
cool.
but it still
Cool.
ran on carbs, so it was
Yeah.
just difficult
Oh.
as witchcraft.
Yeah.
So,
as a daily, it was a silly idea to think we could
So we
put
thought-
that in there as a daily.
You know what?
Yeah, I don't know whose idea it was, but it probably just thinking about it, horrible.
Anyway,
horrible
What we
idea.
decided to do was we thought, you know what, Ant needs or wants to get a new car. I didn't want a two-seater anymore. I wanted something that had a little bit more room. So typically an ED is perfect, and they're a great little runaround car that no one suspects anything of. We had changed it to manual already.
Yep.
And the guys at BYP had done a clutch, slave cylinder, or whatever they had to do to fix the manual job that we had put in. But they had done it very suggestively, provocatively, with, I think even on the invoice, it said that we had done the clutch pedal, or the clutch slave, or whatever it was, and they said, and we have made it long enough for if you ever do a K-swap. on the invoice, they even wrote that.
No way.
They're like,
How
we
suggestive.
lengthened the whatever
Yeah, yeah.
so that it would be suitable
For future
for
case.
future K-swap.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Okay.
That's
they
Inception. That's Inception.
They are great at planting the seed. Those
Planting the
boys.
seed.
They are so good at doing that. So anyway, we got talking about it. We did a few pricing quotes and like how much was it going to cost, etc. It's always going to cost 2 to 3 times more than they originally
More than you
quote
could
in
afford.
terms of what you originally expect is the base figure. It never ends there. You
Yeah.
always do this, add that. Like now it's ridiculous. It's got like a surge tank in it. and
Pretty
stuff.
ridiculous little
Right.
car.
Oh yeah,
It's
just
very
basic
ridiculous.
K-swap. So anyway, it's got a K20A. Is that correct? boys?
JDM.
Yep,
Yeah,
JDM
yeah.
from a
DC5.
DC5 Type R. It's got the mechanical
They
LSD
all-
that came from a Doppler R.
Nice.
It's got a nice Momo steering wheel. It's got a nice hybrid racing K-swap shifter in it. It's got a what's it called? It's got a Hondata unit and that runs the whole thing, the whole ECU. The Hondata is also, I never knew this before, bought it, but it's got like Bluetooth and to my phone, so I can use my phone as like a readout for
It's a dash,
temperatures and
pretty much.
everything. Almost
It's
like
a
a
dash.
mini dash. It'd be mad if it had more functionality and I could actually stick it in front of my dash, but it does the job. It's got just a little exhaust, which we tried to keep stock and look stock.
Got some coils in it.
It's got some MCA coilovers, like the
XR.
Copper, XR, not the reds, but the
There are some
XRs.
race-
That's what we run in Elmo. and
Yeah,
we
which
run in
I'm really
GTR.
happy with for the road.
Yeah.
They've been great.
Yeah.
Super stiff,
Purples.
but it's been great. It's got
Brakes.
every single part that Hone Developments does. So
Shout out to
Hone-
Hone.
Shout out
Except for like the brake
Ducts and all that.
brake ducts and all that sort of stuff. Like every single road part, so the roll center adjuster kit, the tie rod ends and all that sort of stuff. So
They-
since doing all that, it's actually been mad.
They make quality parts.
They make
They
quality
do.
parts.
Yeah, great engineering as
And
well.
even like when the guys at BYP put it in, I remember one of the boys took it for a drive because we're actually testing the surge tank around the roundabout. And to test the surge tank, you just drive around the roundabout as fast as you can, round and round and round in Mexico. And and they were actually saying, they're like, wow, the suspension actually handles really well. And they don't usually use those parts, but they were really happy with it. And it was good. It's made a good little car. I think the first track day we did before all these parts went in, just the basic swap. I did a 112 with a lot of fuel issues. Because the fuel tank doesn't have a proper breather because it was a carby fuel tank. We had to make a makeshift breather, and that led to fuel get spurting out the side. And with the fuel spurting out the side, you can't really go hard at any of the big corners. So turn 1, the fish hook, all of that, just fuel going out the side, and we weren't having a good day. But we did a 112. I think now that we put all the other parts in, on 195 tyres too, tiny little skinny little things.
Exactly.
So I think now that all the other parts are in,
107.
yeah.
107's on nothing.
There's another build which is the same platform, way more track orientated, and he did a 105. So between 105
If you
and
can split
110.
the difference between
If I
that,
could split the difference, do
107.5.
like a 108.
Yeah.
On my current tyres, it's pushing it. If I went to 205s, probably, I'd be very happy with that. So the idea is to keep driving it as a daily,
It's a cool day.
and to drive it
Yeah.
until I get something that I can tow it with. And I'm gonna tow it.
Hey,
and
watch
drive
this
it.
space.
Watch
Yeah.
this
Watch
space.
this space.
So
So
yeah,
we're quickly running out of
that's
battery.
it.
We are.
We are. It's like 2%.
There's 2% on that.
Yeah.
We
So
did
let's-
too many of these.
Let's put a full stop on it there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that was us. That was.
Let
Did
us
we cover all
know.
of our cars, guys?
I think that was almost everything.
Everyone's cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quick recap of what we're driving right now.
Daihatsu Move and occasional when it's running GTR.
DC2 Type R.
Civic.
And?
The
What
Lux,
else are you rolling
the
around with?
highlights.
Oh, my work car Lux.
Here's a
car in the
Moxie.
world.
My S3.
K2080.
That's us.
That's
All
it.
right,
then.
Let us know.
what you thought.
Let us know what you thought about our cars.
Tell us what you want to hear for next time. It was good
That's
to have
the
you
main
along.
thing. Let us know what you want to know
Yes.
for next time, and we will do that.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on the podcasting couch.
We'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye, Felicia.